Big old classic. Bop.
He still does it after all this time. He still does the bop.
I'm excited actually, and I see it on your screen, and now I'm curious because I've been doing some research today. What kind of arm do you use? Microphone arm?
This was actually, I just got it. This is a gift. This is my gift from my dad for Christmas. This is Gator is the brand. Gator Frameworks.
Okay, no, yeah, I was looking at one of those today. I didn't end up going. I didn't end up going with it. I bought an arm, so I'm going to be waiting for it to come in.
Well, it's definitely worth it. Like I said before, I was just using like a boom stand that I've had just forever. And which is fine, but just it gets in the way, and the way I have it set up, I want it to be as convenient as possible, and just having it sitting on your desk is so much better. So I love it.
I was looking at that. I ended up going with, against everything, I ended up going with just one of Blue makes an arm. The same people that make the Blue Yeti, they make an arm, and I ended up going with it. Even though I was looking at the Blue, I was looking at the Gator, and I was looking at the Rotor PSA, whatever it's called, PSA 1, something like that. I was looking at those three, and I'm like, because I really want an arm, because I'm really tired of this microphone being against my desk, and every time I clack with my mouse or type on my keyboard, you can hear everything, and I'm like, I'm getting an arm. This has been a year in the making.
I'm getting an arm. I'm doing it.
I'm getting an arm. It's going to happen.
Well, seriously, it's a game changer. I've only been using it for a month, but it's just so convenient. There's so many wires, at least that I have on my end. Because I'm assuming, I don't know if your arm does it or not, but I'm assuming they all do, or most of them do, but they have a cable, right, like built into it. So like, you can plug your mic right into that, and then it goes out from the arm.
Yeah, the Gator that you have, I know, does that, but of course it's an XLR cable. I'm using a USB microphone, so that doesn't actually help me.
You're a USB boy. That's right.
That's right. For better or for worse, maybe I should just invest in an XLR microphone and get an actual sound rig and actually grow up and leave the little boy pants behind. But
listen, I think you can do it. You've got the experience, man. Because you have a little audio interface, right?
I do not.
Oh, so your USB just straight in.
It's just straight plugged in USB.
Okay. I mean, it's convenient. It's nice.
Unless you're doing like professional vocal performances, I don't think anyone notices. But like if I was trying to be like a voice actor, someone would probably hear it. But I don't have an ear for it.
I wouldn't have known myself, and I am an audio guy, so it's not a big deal. And plus, you're only really needing one audio track at a time. You don't need to record like 8 things at once. So
not yet. Maybe down the line when I'm dropping, I don't know, rap mixtapes or something.
Or you have your live studio audience or something.
Yeah, when I have a whole room of people, it's gonna happen.
Magic Man Mo live, man.
I don't know what that show would be. I don't know what that would be.
You know what it would be? It would be me and like 3 other people watching, and we'd be having the time of our lives. That's what it would be.
But watching
whatever
what, right?
It was.
Right? What would it
That's
be,
your
though?
content-wise.
What would it be? It's people in a room doing what? Magic Man Mo live. Am I playing games and people are watching me? That's a little weird. It's like I'm doing Let's Play, but instead of people watching the stream on the other end of a computer, it's a live studio audience. That would be so wildly uncomfortable.
I think it'd be funny too. Like you didn't have any like display to show what you're playing. It's just you on a stage on a laptop or on a computer with no outwards display.
No
so we just
screens.
see you.
You just see my reactions to what I'm doing. That's like the anti-Let's Play or something like that. Instead of watching the gameplay, you're watching the Let's Player react.
Yes.
It's like a React channel, but without knowing the context.
It's a live React. Actually, I don't know if you Game Grumps, which I don't keep up with them anymore, but like many years ago now, they did a April Fool's video.
I know that video. They did
and
two
they were playing
of
a Zelda game. Yeah, and
did you see the video? Yeah, I would think you're about.
Well, no, go ahead and say it.
I was gonna say, did you see the video where someone recreated all of their actions based on the reflection in their window?
Actually played. That's ridiculous. Imagine that amount of fandom. That's what I think about. Like, imagine someone time to actually do that. That's amazing to me. Because I saw the reflection in the door or the window or whatever.
Oh, it's amazing, and that's some dedication.
That really is dedication. It is. But hey, we'll get there. We'll get those folks.
No,
we will.
No,
we probably won't.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Hello, friends, and you're listening to a Hasty Podcast. Yeah, we're going right into it. No preparation. Are you ready?
We're doing it live.
This is all. Everything we've just said is going in right before. That was the intro. Yes. All of it. All of this has been saved. Welcome to a Hasty Podcast. You're listening to a Hasty Podcast. I'm your. Oh God, I didn't prepare this. What am I today, Alex?
You're a man bear.
I'm your man bear, Weston Hasty, and you're listening to a Hasty Podcast. Today I'm joined by my good friend Alex. Hey, Alex.
Hey, how's it going?
You might know him from Alex Duquette at youtube.com/Alex Duquette Music. If you don't know it, you should check it out. It will be linked wherever there are links kept on this podcast. If you're listening to this through YouTube, it's down in the description. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple, Google, all the places, frankly, it will be in the description. Check out his channel where he does music-based stuff. He has medleys. He live streams jam and chats where he jams and chat. You should check that out. He also has a Twitch channel where he has recently started playing some games. If gaming is your type of thing, check this man out. It's a good friend of mine. I've mentioned him a few times on the podcast. I have.
Yes.
And I've been looking forward to doing this.
I smile each time.
I hope so. I'm always relying on. I'm like, oh, Alex is gonna be listening to this. I don't know if I'm going to say anything to impress you or interest you or anything. I'm like, okay, I got to do this for Alex. I can't let Alex down.
That's right. Actually, no, you're getting some. You've said on one of your episodes that you're getting some. Maybe not feedback. That may not be the right word to say, but like you're getting some listeners.
Yeah, every now and again, a little bit here and there, especially for someone who does not. This is not a big podcast by any stretch of the imagination. Right. I am not going to pretend like this is remotely close to popular with anyone. But yeah, every now and again, I'm getting a comment. It's actually been really nice since I've recently moved the podcast to being on YouTube as well and having a video element for the podcast. That I've seen some traffic in that direction. Again, it's nothing crazy or to brag about, but relative to just the audio formats, the YouTube one, I've been very pleased that it hasn't been just 0 or 1 views for every episode, that I am getting a little bit of traction there. And I don't know if that's because of my previous experience with what I already do on YouTube, or if YouTube is just honestly, for everyone listening to this, if YouTube is just honestly a better place to host your podcast.
Hot take? Maybe?
I don't even know if it's a hot take. I think it's just a secret. I think people don't know that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, when you think about it, I mean, in a way, a lot of the content that you do can be a podcast anyway. You know, I mean,
in a way,
right? It's commentary. It's talking about something, whether you're playing a game or whatever, but
especially streaming content. It depends on the streamer. Like, I do a lot of streaming, but when you consider how long a podcast might be, which a podcast might be an hour or 2 hours long, well, if I have a stream that's an hour or 2 hours long, and my type of content is the type where I constantly deliver some sort of audio commentary, because a lot of Let's Plays or streams and that kind of thing are gameplay focused. Maybe they're playing something like the latest Call of Duty or the latest Battle Royale, and it's very skill based. Those probably wouldn't be a podcast because they're not talkative in that format.
Yeah.
Whereas mine, I try to be on the more talkative side. So in like a weird way, you could call it a podcast, but they're podcasts that are heavily distracted by gameplay. So
yeah, I can imagine, like, if you're playing a really intensive game that like requires your attention and you're just listening to the audio portion, I think it'd be funny.
I mean, just imagine,
like, just trying to hold a conversation.
Exactly right. Like, you've been streaming gameplay to Twitch lately, so imagine your Simpsons Hit and Run stream you just recently did. You should all check it out, twitch.tv/AP Duquette. Check that out. Imagine that stream, only audio. No one would have any idea what's going on most of the time.
Right. And yeah, and I've learned very quickly, as someone who is a newbie when it comes to really live streaming, period, I'd still say, but especially games. It's hard, even if it's a simple game like that, just to be able to see what your what the chat's saying, and keeping, active and emotive and, that sort of thing, while trying to also not suck at a game. It's hard.
It is.
I don't know how you do it, man.
it's an unusual skill set, and I'm not going to try to like toot my own horn and be like, oh, it is so difficult, I'm clearly a god amongst men. No, it's just an unusual skill set that most people, when you sit down to do it, you don't realize that it is a skill set. You sit down, I'm going to play a game, and I'll just chat with people. That doesn't sound hard. But it's different, because it's not people that you're chatting with in a room where you're hearing that. Your attention, your visual field is going to be... your attention is divided 3 ways, basically. Your gaming, the chat, and possibly any other stuff that you're looking up, checking on Streamlabs, OBS, or maybe your audio setup, whatever. You're distracted 3 different ways. So that sort of multitasking, as well as delivering a vocal performance, an audio performance, or even a skill-based performance if you're playing a game that requires some level of skill. So it is an unusual skill set in multitasking and improv.
It is, and I'm sure it's just a matter of, as you've done this for a long time, like it's just a matter of doing it enough and kind of learning how it goes, I guess, as time goes on.
Which is why I've actually been excited to see you stream, because I'm like, I want to see your version of this.
It's hard. It is hard. It's enjoyable and it's fun and it's nice to have a little community to talk to. But and that's why I started Minecraft. Honestly, survival mode. That was the first one I streamed, and that may not have been the best first one to do because there's that part.
So classic.
It was so classic because there's that part of me that's like that because I know how to play Minecraft. You and I used to play it years ago together, and it'd be fun to do again sometime. But it's different because there's a little bit of pressure too, not just the stress of making sure you seed everybody, but someone's out there watching who's a Minecraft pro.
Probably everyone that was watching you.
Pretty much. Well, I know there's one guy out there in particular. He was like, you should do this. You should do this. Like, I know what I should be doing, but it's hard.
Yeah, you know it. You know it when you have someone in chat that just is dying to backseat game you, right? It's just, do this, please, for the love of God. And you're playing and you're like, look, I get it. This is frustrating, but you're going to have to take a chill pill because I'm not you and I'm in the driver's seat.
Right, exactly. It's exactly right. But it's fun. I'm enjoying it, and I'm probably going to keep it going, so.
I did enjoy that. I was watching you were getting close to your first night in Minecraft, and I'm like, oh, this feels like I'm watching Minecraft Let's Plays in 2011 or 12 all over again. And I'm like, I bet you anything dies on his first night. And you got to the point where you're building your house against that hill, and you're like, who needs a ceiling? I'm like, Creeper's gonna come in. I was calling it. I felt like Nostradamus over here. And in the middle of the night, a creeper jumps into your house and kills you, and I'm like, yes.
It was actually pretty funny because I was rewatching one little part of that stream, and it was like right before it happened. Basically, I was down in the ground mining, and I was just watching back to just hear like make sure audio sounded good and stuff. And I look really quickly, and I'm down at the bottom of the stairs that lead back up to my house. And I'd see these 2 little creeper feet, and I didn't see them, and then I turn around, and then I go back up again, and then that's when it all happened. I thought, dang it, they were showing there the whole time.
It was so good. That was a classic first night of Minecraft.
Listen, everyone goes through that first night. I will never forget my first night of Minecraft. Like ever, because it was me, you, it was our friend Jacob from school. Yeah. That was my first time playing, and I remember him saying like, okay, make sure first thing you got to do, get some wood and build a house. Because if you don't, and I didn't listen to him, right? I was running around. I wasn't even punching trees. I think I was, but not as much as I should have been. And then I was just kind of exploring and picking up different things. And then I remember the monsters came, the zombies came.
Suddenly it got dark.
It got dark, and this is before a bunch of creatures were in there. So this was before witches and all kinds. I mean, this is early, right?
Right.
But I remember there was a big hill, and I just dug my way into a hill. I just sat there. I just put wood, I just put grass blocks back in front of me and just waited the whole night because I was so scared. My
classic move first time in Minecraft is you dig 3 blocks down, and with one of the dirt blocks you dug, you just put one above you, and you just sit in a 2x1 hole, and then you have no idea if it's daytime because it's pitch dark, and you're like, I'm just going to wait here for roughly, 10 minutes, and then climb back out.
Right, you go back up, then that slight chance, it's that timing, it's nighttime again, thinking, geez, how long are these nights? Just go back down.
It's like, I live here now.
The classic Minecraft times.
It was.
Good stuff.
That was. But also you do music.
I do music. I do music. I do.
Not so that everyone listening, you're not just another one of those dime a dozen Let's Players like I am. You also actually have a talent that you perform on your streams.
I'm a dime a dozen musician that you see online.
No.
Different set of dozen.
I think that's a tougher skill set to break into. Any old nerd sits down on their gaming computer and starts trying to Let's Play. This guy over here, right? He's a nerd with a piano.
Yeah, I'm a nerd with a piano. I'm a guy who equally loves video games and gaming, and in fact, most of what I watch on YouTube is gaming, but all I do on my YouTube is music mainly. So, but yeah, I'm a musician. As you can see, I've got my lovely setup. This is my Studio 3.0. Weston's seen Studio 2.0 in person, but
I've never seen this one.
You got to get you down here sometime, man, and check it out. It's I got a little duplex house. It's a 2-bedroom, and there's a dinky little second bedroom. It's barely a bedroom. Then there's a master bedroom, and of course, when you're a musician with a bunch of equipment, what do? I put all my equipment in the master bedroom, and then I have a full-size bed, and I can barely fit that in the little dinky room, but I just sleep, so who cares?
That's priorities, right?
Yeah, priorities, absolutely.
You need your elbow room in there with all your stuff.
That's right. I don't need it when I sleep. I'm just wall to wall, basically. But
I feel like I would probably be in a similar boat. Even though I don't have the musical stuff, I feel like if I had the 2 rooms to myself, if I had the 2 bedrooms to myself, I would take the smaller one for me, and the larger one, I'd dedicate a wall to just complete green screen across the wall, and like it would turn into some live studio room. I don't know what I would do with it all, but that's what the temptation would be.
I definitely would see you sitting there like brainstorming, thinking of ways to utilize the green screen space. You know, you would find a way.
I want to get because I've got one, and I want to get a second one, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I just want more green screen. I want it to be wider, and I need another lamp.
I get it. I have a slight little green screen space right here. You can barely see it in the shot, but I just use that for the medleys. Pretty much is really all I really need it for, but it serves its purpose. So
medleys. Let's explain that to everybody that's listening. I said Alex does music, but the thing that his channel is most particularly known for, and you may or may not have accidentally run into his some of his videos on YouTube, especially that viral one, the roommate remix of When Mama Ain't Home. You may have seen that trend several years ago. Alex was one of those videos, but also your medleys, the most famous being perhaps the commercial jingles in under 15 seconds or something.
It's still the most popular by views. Yeah, it's what is it? I can't remember now. I think it's 15 commercial jingles in under 2 minutes is what I called that one. So medleys, if you don't know what they are, they are usually it's just 2 or 3 songs or more, but usually 2 or 3 put together into one song, basically. And they kind of flow together. It's kind of like a mashup in a way, kind of. But instead of a mashup, it's just going from one to another and then to another. What I do is I take 20 songs and shove them into 3 minutes. And I try to make it sound as fluid as I can so it doesn't sound jarring. Because, different songs have different tempos and speeds and genres and stuff. And I try my best to mesh them together into one so it's a fluid listening experience for the listener. And I mainly do it for TV shows and cartoons and cartoon theme songs and that sort of thing. But I do have plans of expanding it to different kinds of songs too. But yeah,
because
that's what
they're
medleys are.
They're very easy to make. You crank them out once a day, don't you?
It's not even funny. Not even funny. No, it takes a lot of work. But I've always had the mindset of, you did it right if nobody notices that you didn't do anything wrong necessarily. I put a lot of work into it, but even if I put that much work into it and it didn't sound right, people would notice it. But people don't notice the amount of time I put into it. It's just a normal listening experience for them. And I consider that at least a win in my book, that it's just for the listener, they don't even notice. It's just, okay, he's just playing the instruments and doing his thing. Because it's tough to take a rap song and a rock song and a country song and put them all in one. But for me, as a musician, it's a fun challenge, and that's my favorite part about it, to be honest, on the behind-the-scenes side, is the challenge of going, how am I going to put, like, Zoe 101 next to, like, Drake and Josh or something, right? Or whatever the theme songs are. but it's fun.
Especially since you have the source material to go off of, you want to pick out like what segment of the source material to use. It's not like the entire song being speed run. You're not doing the entire intro sequence smooshed into 2 seconds and then on to the next theme song. You have to pick out the segment, and it has to be recognizable enough that people know which part you're doing. And if you're not paying attention, as the viewer, if you're not paying attention, sometimes it when you do it really well, it feels like you did it all in one take. But then, of course, your brain kicks in, and you're like, that's impossible. You played several different instruments, and there's multiple of you on screen at one time. So it's not really possible. But when it all flows all together like that, it's easy to think that, like, or easy to, again, not recognize the time and work put into it when it's done right, like you were saying.
Sure. Yeah. And it's, but once again, it's a lot of fun. And I know that for a long time I used to do like cover songs and things, and they never, and I enjoyed doing them to an extent, but then one time I just decided I had this inkling to do a commercial jingles one. I was actually inspired by a YouTuber years ago called, what was his name? Freddie Greddy was his name, and he did a couple medleys. It was just him and a guitar, and it really wasn't fluid. It was just kind of him playing a song. Then he went to the next one. Then he went to the next one, right? It wasn't really blending in together, but I was inspired by that, and I decided to take a stab at it, and then that kind of took off just a little bit. And then...
just a little bit.
Well, at first it was just a little bit, because I was getting, like, that point, like 30 views a video or something. And then that one got, like, 800 views. And I thought, oh, wow, this is interesting. People are, like, responding to this. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll do more. And then I didn't do any more. I just kept doing covers because it takes so much time. But I found a love in it as I did it because of the challenge that it can provide, and it helps me keep my craft, helps me hone my craft as a musician, to kind of really mesh things together and stuff. But and then I do want to bring up this about that first video. I don't know if you know what I'm going to say, but there was a comment on that first video.
Yeah.
And you and I always joke about this comment.
Yeah.
I still want to make a shout out to this comment at one point, but on that first medley I ever did, there was a comment and it said, "No one asked you to do this." And that's all it said. And I was thinking, no one asked you to do this, like, don't do it? Like, no one asked for this. Or is it just like a kind of a passive, well, I guess no one asked you to do it, but it's okay. Like, I still want to know what that means.
Sometimes the earliest comments we get on our YouTube channels, because some of them I remember too, that are just like, that take you aback, where you're like, I just don't know how to take this comment. Those are some of the most fun, where it's like, I think that this was meant in hate, honestly, but it's just too funny.
Right.
But
that's a whole other thing too, is just, I don't know how many, a lot of, you hear people say sometimes, you're not a successful YouTuber or internet content creator until you have a little bit of hate in those comments. I don't know where I stand in line with that, but I will say that it's a pretty common thing, at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that getting hate indicates that you've made it by any stretch of the imagination. Anybody can get hate on the internet. I think it's more like hate is just a sort of, I don't even want to say rite of passage or something like that, because again, I think that lends too much credence to the people that give you hate for something that they didn't. They're not actually contributing anything to you, and I don't want to give them any more credit than they deserve. But it's just something that happens on the internet. You spend time on the internet, you're going to get hate from somebody, whether what you're doing is phenomenal or what you are doing is objectively terrible. No matter what you're doing, you're going to get it.
Right, and I always wonder the mindset sometimes, because you can tell that effort has to be put in to make a hatred comment or to say something hateful or be critical or in a negative way, at least. Because when I dislike something, at least when I'm viewing content or whatever, I've never had the urge or the passion to go on there and say, I hate this, right? I don't even do dislikes, to be honest. That's
what I was about to say. I can't even strum up the energy to put a dislike. I just move on with my life.
Right. You know that old quote, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference, right? I don't care. I'm going to move on. Something different,
Oh, now I'm thinking about that. The opposite of love isn't hate; it's indifference.
It's indifference.
You know, I feel like there are a couple of different ways to take that philosophy. I don't know if I agree with it. I don't think the opposite of love is indifference, but if there's anything that will drive a creator more insane than hate, it is indifference. So I think it depends on whether or not you're the one like sort of giving the love, hate, or indifference versus the one receiving it. Because if you're someone who's hateful towards something, I think that is the opposite of love, right? Where if you're indifferent, like again, if I go to a YouTube video that I neither liked nor disliked, well, I wouldn't call that the opposite of loving it, right? Because then what's the opposite of hate? You know?
I guess, you know what? Maybe that analogy or that quote that I used didn't work for content creation. That's a little bit of a different thing.
And yeah, the context is important, but it's really interesting because when you do think of it as a creator, though, I would probably rather get hate on, because I've told people this before. I would rather make a video that got 100% dislikes, only hate comments. Everybody universally hates the video, but if I've captured your attention, I've done something right. Well, that's not a failure on my part.
Well, especially on the YouTube platform, you know, attention is key. You know, so
the thing that
is a good point,
right? Like Rebecca Black would be not a household name. I mean, I don't think it's a household name anymore. But at one point in time, she held the record for most disliked video of all time with her music video Friday. I don't know what the most disliked is now. I know it's changed, but that literally, her most hated video of all time, put her on YouTube's map, and she has several other music videos, a music career. A lot of people don't talk about it because it's not like the popular thing right now, but like she captured an entire nation. I don't know if it was outside of the US or not, but the nation, the world, an entire platform, the YouTube platform's attention. And that, I believe, is a better outcome than if everyone had completely ignored it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, that goes to the other quote that, like, what is it? Like, any press is good press or whatever. Because you're getting the attention, you know, and at the end of the day, if that's your goal, at least as a person who wants to have their attention put on them, I mean, you succeeded. So that is a good point.
Yeah, if you can lightning rod that attention and channel it into a creative outlet and do something with it, this is different, especially the negative press thing too, because the negative press, again, it's about context. I almost disagree with that one too, but only because we exist in an era where cancel culture is a thing. So you can get negative.
Something for each quote I'm giving, man.
I'm going to shoot down every quote you believe in.
You got it.
But only because we live in a world where cancel culture is real. So like if you get a ton of press for, I don't know, dropping the N-bomb on Twitter, I mean, there's no coming back. I mean, I don't know.
True.
But
you know, that is true, because that's a newer kind of mindset too, at least on the internet side of things. People are much quicker to cancel you now.
Everything's archived.
Everything's archived. And people are not afraid to go back 12 years ago when Twitter first became a thing, or whenever that happened, and find something. You know, it's an interesting time right now with that stuff.
I can't remember what it was. I was going to take a screenshot of this. I was scrolling through Twitter, and I just watched this live burn happen just in front of me, right? Where I think it was something that... It's something that Twitter posted. I don't remember what it was. And someone commented on Twitter just to try to like fire back. Like, Twitter said something mundane that no one cares about, but this person was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure you think that's great, but you should be working on an edit button," or something like that. But was trying to come after Twitter. And someone replies to them like, "Oh, I'm sure you would want an edit button." And they had a screenshot. They went through and found where this guy said like, "I hate N-words."
Oh my God.
It's like, I watched in real time, this guy commented just out of nowhere, like, "Oh, Twitter, how dare you should work on edit button," and got immediately ripped just then and there. How fast that happens.
The internet is there to tear you down the minute you slip.
And the minute you come after somebody, there's going to be someone else ready to defend that person, and you better have a squeaky history, otherwise you're going to be destroyed.
Oh, it's terrible. It really is.
It's terrible, but it's also good, because now I know that I don't like that first guy.
No, absolutely. No, you're right. You are right. I should specify that. That is a good thing. But I do think that there are times too when it's just maybe like, because I've seen examples. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but where maybe somebody said something, not to that extent, but that they've since maybe publicly apologized for, or they've come out and said, "Listen, I've grown from this. I've grown from this mentality, this mindset, or whatever," and there's still no going back from it.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen that too, and that can be kind of a hard, I think a hard pill to swallow for some people.
Yeah, I think it depends on the response a little bit. Like, there's some people that I think that have made mistakes in the past that could easily come back from it if they gave it the effort and time. But sometimes I think those people decide that it's not worth pursuing, and so they let it go. But I think they could come back. Again, it always depends on the person. It depends on what exactly you're in trouble for. Again, it's going to be on a case by case by everybody.
And it is so, and even apologies are so manufactured now. And in internet culture, you know, I can name countless YouTubers who have had countless apology videos, and it almost seems routine. It doesn't seem sincere. It just seems it's part of the gig almost.
I thought about that. Like, if I ever had to make an apology video, which, God, I don't know why I would or what I'd have to do to be in that situation. But, like, you know, you think about these things because you see it on YouTube all the time, right? Where it's like, okay, say I got into trouble for something. I don't think I would make an apology video, right? Because you have two options. You have three options. You have one option, you ignore it. That's dangerous. Yep. Two, you make an apology video for it, which is only going to make it look like you acknowledge that you did something wrong, which just gives more fuel to the people that hate you to continue to hate you, right? It's not, right. You can apologize, but no one's going to accept it. I just don't think so. Especially if you actually did do the really bad thing, right? That's the thing. If you didn't, then that's a different story. Or three, you can just own it. And this is something you never see people do, but honestly, if you screw up, someone could just come out and say, you know what? I did. I sure did.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I screwed up. This is not my apology. I screwed up. This is what I do. That's what I used to do.
And I'm going to continue to do this thing right now. I'm going to continue my content or whatever, you know. That's true. I don't think I can, maybe you can, but I can't think of an example of that. Or someone who's just flat out just owned it and said, yep, it happened. I'm not quitting because of this. I'm going to keep on going. I bet you if they did, there'd be a lot of people who would dip if I were to guess. But
every now and again, you get someone try to defend themselves where they're like, well, it wasn't that bad. I did this, that, or the other or whatever. And you have people that try to defend themselves. But usually that's in a situation where the thing that they're apologizing for / not apologizing for is something they did with like another creator. Like, you just have creator drama. And I think that's like a different category altogether, because that also seems so manufactured, because it earns everybody's videos millions of views when it's just creator drama. So it's like, okay, this is all manufactured, but yeah, the apology video it's just like, if you apologize, you're gonna look fake as heck. You could sit there and actually break out into tears on the kitchen floor, and that's literally a genre of apology video. I mean.
Yeah, it's been done. Nothing's new. Nothing's new under the sun. But yeah, actually, I do want to bring up a point you mentioned earlier, if you don't mind. You talked about, like, if you catch that lightning in a bottle, right? Like, you do something that makes you successful, or not successful, but it brings you to light, at least on a platform, YouTube, or I'm thinking in particular right now. I'm thinking of TikTok. And the mystery. For me, that is TikTok. I repurpose my content for it, but I'm still not quite sure. I mean, I know how it works, but I don't know how I feel about the platform overall.
I want to break into it so bad, but I'm an old man, I guess, now. I can't figure it out.
Look, I'm an old man. I remember at first I thought, okay, so this is kind of like Vine, when Vine was a thing. And I never really understood Vine, but I had a Vine, and I looked through them and stuff. But I still don't have a complete understanding of it. But what is interesting, and you've probably heard this even if you're not a TikToker, is that people, the word algorithm has become such a different word than it used to mean years ago, right? Everybody uses the word algorithm now. And TikTok, I remember when I first had mine and I was posting my old medleys on there, and I was just searching through, and I'm sure the algorithm was learning what I enjoyed to watch or whatever. but a lot of them were about creating content on TikTok. And there were so many videos about people going like, oh, to beat the algorithm, you got to do this and do that, or you got to post 12 videos a day, even if it's just of you talking, just to trigger the algorithm into, and that's actually a side topic that I didn't want to talk about, but I thought that was an interesting thing. Like, so there's people on TikTok who aren't doing anything. They're just, it's like, it's like a girl dancing or it's just somebody talking for 10 seconds, and they post 12 of those a day. And these people are getting 20, 30,000 views on each video. That's what it was at first when I started using TikTok, which I thought was very interesting and very different from YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Very different from YouTube. If you post 12 videos a day on YouTube, I mean, I don't even know how that
the number, I don't know if you know this or not, the number is 3. You can post 3. Okay. You can post 3 things a day on YouTube. As soon as you start going beyond that, YouTube says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Who do you think you are?" And the big A algorithm, the capital A algorithm, says, "No, we're shutting that down. We're sharing that content with nobody. That is not being shared. It is not going anywhere. You need to slow your roll, big cat."
Absolutely. Which actually brings me back to kind of my first point in a way, because when I think of that, whether or not that's the intent of the algorithm. But I think of quality control. That's kind of what I go to, right? If there's somebody, not necessarily, but that's what I think of. But if you see someone posting a bunch of content, if you're able to post 12 videos a day, I have high doubts that the quality of the content is going to be there, right?
And that's exactly it.
And I think about TikTok, and you see these people on there who are TikTok famous or they're successful on TikTok. And I've noticed even people that I've watched, like comedy channels or whatever that are on there, have already gone by the wayside. And I thought this is an interesting thing. And I want to bring up to you, actually. I was thinking about this before the podcast. How YouTube, like for you and I, for example, right? We've both been tiny tubers for a very long time. We've used that word in the past.
Tuber tales.
Tiny tuber tales. It's almost sounds
not,
like
that's not a song that exists at all, but
no, but it is now.
It is now.
But man, my hair is getting it's time to cut my hair again. Sorry,
Same.
I'm staring at it. Okay. Anyway, so what I was gonna say was dang it, I lost my train of thought. It's gonna come back.
You're talking about TikTokers, 12 videos a day, quality
12 videos
content.
a day. That's right. I got back there. Okay.
There you go.
So he got me back. He always circles me back around. No, it's interesting because I feel like it's easier from what I've even seen, just repurposing my content on there, to gain a follower base. But I've also learned that base is not very interested in what you have to do because there's so many other people doing the same exact thing at such a quick rate. So what I've seen, the only people that I've seen that are actually continuously over a course of multiple months, and now at this point going on, I think a year or more, successful are ones who have expanded from the platform of TikTok, and they have a YouTube channel, and they're very vocal on their social media platforms. I feel like if you're solely focused on one platform, I think it's hard to have a voice,
It is, especially on something so short form like TikTok, because what are your options for expansion, really? So, like, if you're going to talk about the business aspect of it, say you want to grow a brand, and your brand is your image, right? And you're a TikToker, you're making 10-second videos. Well, so if you're going to make a brand, if you're going to make a business out of this, you got to make money. How do you make money on a 10, 15-second TikTok video? Are you going to run ads on it? You're going to run a 5-minute ad to watch your 15-second video? No, of course you're not. It's not going to happen. So, like, it's not ads. So it's going to be sponsorships. You're going to get people to pay you to advertise, here's me drinking my new Nike Starbucks beverage, whatever, and you're going to get your Nike Starbucks money. I've turned them into one company.
Nike bucks.
Your Nike bucks money. But like that's going to be exclusive to the 0.1% of TikTok users, if not less. The tops of the tops are getting those kinds of deals. So if you're a small to middle of the road TikToker trying to make yourself a brand or a business, and you can't get sponsorships from people that are going to pay you any kind of money to build that brand with, and you certainly can't run ads, your only option is to do so, make money off the platform. Right. And you have to figure out, there's a million different ways to do that, but like you said, you can't be platform loyal on something like that, and even on something like YouTube or Twitch or even Facebook now, and anything where you can make content for. You don't want to be platform dependent for various other reasons, but just especially so with something like TikTok, where I think already out of the gate, I think your options are limited.
Sure. Well, even so, especially once again, if your goal on that platform is to be, is monetary success. A lot of the people on TikTok, or a lot of the user base, I don't have a percentage in front of me. I'd have to look it up, but I have no doubt that most of them are probably at the age of 18 or under the age of 18.
Yeah, they're your teen audience. I would put at between 15 and 20, right? Is kind of their target demographic. And I know plenty of people older than that use it for sure, but I think that the target demographic is sort of mid-teens and up.
Right, and they're not going to be spending money like someone who in their 30s is, or something like that. So, it's just an interesting thing, because on a similar token too, even just in terms of maintaining relevance, if that's your goal as a creator, I've seen musicians on TikTok, because that naturally comes up on my TikTok scrolling page a lot. It says, "Oh, you like music," And for months I would see this one guy, and he had a lot of followers on there, but he kept doing the same thing. And then I started seeing other channels, and he would do loops. So he would play a loop, and then he'd go to the next instrument, play a loop, then next instrument, play a loop. But he kept doing it. He didn't expand from that. Not that you necessarily need to. That's kind of a different topic. But there's other people doing it. And then I noticed that I would go back to his TikTok. I was curious about this. And then his views have dropped dramatically in the last, actually just about a month or so. And then there's other creators doing the same thing, and now everyone's following this guy. He's newer. I feel like your viewership, it comes and goes so quick. And it just seems like less substantial than it would be on another platform.
There's a brevity, I think, with something like TikTok. I mean, it's funny because we have the history of Vine to go back to kind of compare it to, because they were in a similar boat as TikTok. And if he wasn't innovating and sort of changing with the times, right, as literally from almost a day-to-day basis, where your different trends or memes change, where if you don't stay on that train, you're gonna get swept up by all the people that, again, if you originated this this thing, this trend, or this genre, or this trope, or whatever, if he doesn't innovate on it, copycats are going to take it over for sure.
Right.
And new users that aren't aware where the original came from, aren't gonna find the original. It's not like the copycats are linking, but I was inspired by this man.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
That doesn't. Not that, again, there might be some sort of argument about if you were literally stealing some sort of format that is patented or copywritten or trademarked. That's another story. But again, besides that case, it's not like anyone that is inspired by someone's format is obligated to say so. Not necessarily. It's cool and a nice thing to do, to say, this is my video of this thing that I did. I was inspired by this person who does the same type of thing. That's a nice thing to do, but you're not really legally obligated to do it. Morally can be another story, but...
Right. And honestly, even in terms of the content itself, you're not obligated as the original creator to expand your stuff if you don't want to. But I think if you want to keep the viewership, I think it's important to kind of it goes back to our first point, which is kind of just expanding your platforms and stuff. And I guess one main point I wanted to make was that I really feel like, even though I have, and the numbers necessarily don't always matter, but I will say that just for this point, it will, I guess. I have many more followers on TikTok, and I've only had it for less than a year as compared to YouTube in terms of people who subscribers versus TikTok followers, right? And it feels like when you get a subscriber on YouTube, it feels like it's more of a commitment than it is on something like TikTok, where it's just quick little bites of stuff. Like when you make a choice to subscribe to somebody on YouTube, it's not that it's kind of like you're in it for the long haul in a way. Like I'm willing to go a longer period of time seeing what you put out, that sort of thing. So I feel like that's how I feel about it. At least I feel like they're more earned than it is on TikTok. That's my take on it.
Yeah, do you think that's... You said you have more followers on TikTok than you do YouTube?
Oh, almost 3 times as many. Yeah.
How many followers do you have on TikTok?
7 or 8,000.
Holy jeez, I had no idea. I don't use TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got I think I've got 10.
I have to. Hey, that's not bad. No,
I haven't posted in 2 years, but
right. That's all right. No, I have to take a look at the number because I could be fluffing that. Last time I know I'm at 7 something now, but
I had no idea.
But yeah, it's been really. I mean, and that feels. I mean, it feels good, and you get a lot of feedback and response. Even so, getting those viewers, it doesn't feel as connected and as important as YouTube, even though I'm posting the same content to both. And maybe that's on my perspective of it. I'm not sure, but I just feel like it's much more earned on a YouTube channel. I just feel like that the grind is harder, and maybe that's why. Maybe so many of us have the same story.
You've had to work so long and grind YouTube for so long to get to what you got that since it came so much easier on TikTok, you're like, oh, well, this is just BS.
Right.
These are just bots or something. These aren't real people, real subscriptions.
And that's very possible. That could very well be on me. And it's also could be me being an old man, like kind of you said. It's like, well, TikTok's new. You don't know what it's going to be. TikTok could be the future. You never know. But
because I was talking to Wiley about that the other day. I think that's who I was talking to about like maybe I should like look into like posting gaming TikToks or something like that, because that thought had never occurred to me forever ago to post clips or something to TikTok. I'm like, well, maybe I should try that. I don't know if people don't like it, I'll just stop. I don't care. But I
mean, yeah,
maybe I need to look into TikTok some more.
I'll be honest, I will. I just opened it up. I did lie, and I'm sorry because I've lost track of the numbers. I'm not even quite at 7. I'm at 6.5. I
was waiting for you. I'm sorry, I lied. I have 12 million followers.
Right.
I'm now too famous for this podcast. I'm sorry. This friendship is over.
See ya.
I'm out of here.
We'll put this podcast on the TikTok now. No. Yeah, I'm at 6.5, but it's pretty nuts. 100,000 likes. It's cool. But like I said, you watch these things on TikTok once again about make sure they say comment to a lot of people that are in the comments and stuff, and it'll help build engagement and show more people your information and stuff. But on TikTok, you can look at a lot of like analytics and stuff like that, and you can see kind of who's watching and everything. And there's a little section, at least there was. I haven't been doing much on TikTok in a little while, but that kind of showed if people would click your external links. So like I have like my YouTube and my Instagram tied to it, and there's so little of that. Like the ratio, I can't remember what the percentage is now, but it's so low, and I don't know if that just has to do with it's hard to get people to leave their preferred platform to go somewhere else. I understand that.
Absolutely.
I've learned, actually, this is kind of a side note too, but when you post like medleys, for example, right? You've probably noticed on my social media, I post the video straight to my social media account now, as opposed to the link from YouTube posting it. I'll post.
Do not use YouTube's link.
Yeah, I've quit that, and I've learned very quickly that it works because people are sitting there, and if they really like it, they might check out more stuff or whatever. But
yeah, no, YouTube's sharing system is garbo. They I don't know, the way they don't like. I don't know. It just doesn't work. I don't know what to say about it. It just doesn't work. You got to do it yourself. You got to make it yourself. That's bottom line. But because I use Twitter a lot, so it's funny that you mentioned that you can see the analytics on TikTok and people clicking external links and that sort of thing. Because you can kind of do the same thing on Twitter as well, and that's what I see a lot too. People do not like to leave Twitter. If they're on Twitter, they're not leaving Twitter. So you have to work pretty darn hard or be pretty compelling in a video or a thumbnail or something to get people to go check out your YouTube or whatever from Twitter. If they did follow you on Twitter or follow you on TikTok because of your YouTube, that's a different story.
Right.
But
I have a question for you. So in your process when it comes to making the decision to subscribe to somebody on YouTube or to let's say you discover them on YouTube, okay?
Oh God.
Do you have a process or an extent of your enjoyment of them to which you make the decision to go follow them on social media? Is there like a You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if maybe you enjoy their YouTube, but not quite enough to go see what they're doing elsewhere. Is there a line with that, or is it just kind of not really that cut and dry?
The thing with my opinion on not my opinion, my habits, I guess, my relationship, I'll say, my relationship with social media has changed over the years, and anymore, because I don't use Facebook anymore, and I never touch Instagram. I don't use TikTok. Basically, my only relationship with social media is specifically Twitter, and my relationship with Twitter is a toxic one. It has caused me so much joy and so much straight just void peering depression. But in terms of like who I follow on Twitter, I don't follow personalities or influencers or creators that I enjoy elsewhere on social media. I don't do it because what ends up happening is that I know that I'm never going to actually have, because unless they're medium sized or smaller, I'm never going to have an actual relationship with that person over social media. And when it comes to social media, I really don't need another newsletter from a creator about the stuff that they're doing. You know what I mean? I can, if it's on YouTube, I can sign up for notifications. If they work, they work. If they don't, they don't. But there are other ways to get a stream of my favorite creators' content that I don't need to follow them on social media for. So unless that person I find out posts really just mind-blowing stuff on specifically their social media that I can't get elsewhere, I don't follow my favorite creators on social media because it's specifically the lack of interaction. I know that if I follow a giant gaming creator on Twitter, I don't know, like a Markiplier or something, if I follow a Markiplier and he tweets, I'm looking for video ideas, got any? And I tweet back like, oh, here's my idea. I'm never going to get a response. It's not going to happen. Right. Because meanwhile, and I don't blame him. He'd get like 10,000 plus replies on it or whatever.
Yeah.
So unless I think that I can have any kind of relationship or reaction with a creator, I don't follow them anymore. And I've actually recently unfollowed something like 1,000 accounts. I follow too many people. I unfollowed like 1,000 accounts because they weren't following me back, which sounds scuzzy. But what I realized is that those accounts, there was no interaction between. So that was wave one where I deleted all that. Now I got to go start going through what I have left and start figuring out whether or not I need to start making those relationships with the people that I have and making more connections or drop them and move on. I'm actually in the middle of a downsizing. So when it comes in terms of like how do I choose to follow people, what I've discovered is that over the years, at one point in time, I was following 6,000 plus accounts, and it's just too much. It's just too much.
Yeah. No kidding.
So I don't know. I can't speak to what a normal person might go through when they want to follow their favorite creator, if it's the one of 20 things they might follow. I don't know what would go through their head. I know when it comes to me, the thought doesn't even cross my mind anymore.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because my view of it has completely 360'd to how you view it now. So as of recent, I'm talking recent, I would say weeks, probably about a month or so. So I was the guy where I would tweet here and there. It's not like I'm not, I know how Twitter works. I'm not a newbie with Twitter, but I was much more of a viewer and a consumer only, right? That was kind of for a long time. And then starting a few months ago, especially with these jam and chats, the live streams that I do Friday nights at 9:30, check it out.
YouTube.com/Alex Duquette Music.
That's right. If you just go to Google and type in jam chat, it'll come up. There's so few things called the jam and chat. It's great.
That's awesome.
That always helps. But yeah, so see, now I'm thinking about the jam and chats again. No, but I've noticed that with doing live streams and getting live interaction with fans and members of the community, I've learned how fulfilling and how good that feels, and we have a very uplifting and positive community, which is really great. So it's kind of shifted my perspective on how I use Twitter. So I've been starting to be more interactive on Twitter, and I've learned very quickly that the same thing you said, like you know what? Like, I know what they're doing. I don't need to follow them on here. There's no interaction between us. It's taken up room in my feed when I could be seeing posts from people that I care about and I can react or, interact with and stuff. So I'm starting to go through a much smaller binge because you have many more followers than I do. And you're following many more than I am. But I am going through a binge myself from a lot of these celebrities, YouTubers, anyone that I was interested in following, because my mindset is, if I'm really interested in what they're doing, I'll think about them again. I'll go back, check them out, see what they're doing, and if I want to, I can follow them again. It's not like I'll never think of them again, if they really left that impact on me. But yeah, it's completely 360 to how you feel now about the same thing.
Yeah, and I think there is a difference between, I think, someone who uses Twitter to follow people more than to post to others. Mm-hmm. So like you and I, as people that create things on the internet, we want that interaction, right? We want that connection to people, especially to the people that are consuming the stuff that we create. So as someone who tweets a lot and makes things a lot that I want to share with people, I want that interaction, and if you can't provide that to me, I don't really need to be following you. Whereas someone who doesn't create things on the internet but otherwise has a Twitter, they'd probably be more likely to follow their favorite creators and stuff because I don't know, because otherwise they're not interacting with people anyway, other than maybe some close friends that they follow on Twitter or something like that. It's weird. Like, I follow just a lot of just random strangers I've never met before or interacted with on Twitter, and that's the way I use it because I'm trying to look for connections and that sort of thing, whereas other people don't. I mean, some people get it. It blows my mind. Some people get on Twitter and they private their account, so that people can't find them in whatever, which in my opinion is like, well, why are you even on Twitter? But I'm not here to judge you. It's just not the way I use Twitter. So some people like to be private, but like to follow other people so they can keep tabs on it. It's just not useful to me anymore. So
sure, yeah, and it can be hard, especially with the mindset that you and I have. That there are people out there who just are there just to absorb,
and that's okay.
Right. Oh, absolutely. We need you to be out there to absorb. Right.
If there weren't people out there consuming the things that we make, then that doesn't mean we would stop making things, but it would be unbalanced.
It would be unbalanced, sure, yeah. And it's and there's nothing wrong with saying, getting feedback, it does feel good, and knowing that you can make someone's day with the things that you create, and it makes your day, just that you can kind of make somebody smile. I have a very active member of the Jammin' Chats who always, who often says, it's been a hard week, but these always kind of lighten my spirits, and it's just nice to be a part of something like that. So I kind of wanted to expand that into social media. So it's kind of completely 360'd how I do social media, and from a content creator perspective, it was the right decision, just to keep engagement anywhere you can. So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just so, yeah. I think we've said it, but yeah, it's just more fulfilling to actually on social media interact with the people that care about you and learn to care about them, as opposed to just following random other people that don't care about you and that you're never going to interact with. That's true. I don't know. It's wild.
Right. You're very vocal on Twitter.
I tweet a lot.
You tweet a lot, but you also there's a lot of engagement in that too. Your tweets make me giggle all the time.
It's funny. I get comments on some of my streams sometimes, or in a comment on a YouTube video or something like that, where someone discovers my Twitter for the first time, and they're like, "You have more Twitter followers than you do YouTube subscribers. What's that all about? How come you have 3,500 YouTube subscribers? Only 10 of them show up to a stream, and you have 6,000 Twitter followers. Don't you share your streams?" And I'm like, "Look, all these numbers are just numbers. There's a lot of reasons for everything you're asking.
Don't look at the numbers.
Don't worry about those numbers."
Right.
Because again, like with the platform thing, I have a lot of people that followed me on Twitter because of my Twitter shenanigans that truly do not care, and many of which probably don't even know about my YouTube shenanigans. So it's just completely different groups of people, and you can't get them off of Twitter. That is their platform. That's what they're interested in, and that's okay. And there's plenty of people on YouTube that won't follow me on Twitter for exactly the same reasons, right? They're on YouTube. That's what they do. That's their platform.
So do you feel, this might go back to maybe the relationship with Twitter thing that we touched upon, but is there a certain obligation that you feel because of that you have particular followers that just prefer you right there? Like, is there an obligation in that? Like, you want to make sure that you're providing them something that, since you're providing the people on YouTube something or anything like that?
It is a different. It's what we were saying earlier about, like, you don't want to be stuck to any one platform, right?
Right.
So, like with the TikTok, I see it the same way. While I don't do a lot on TikTok, but like my other platform besides YouTube is basically Twitter, right? That's my other outlet. That's my other megaphone. So I treat Twitter less like a social media and more like another platform. Yeah, it's not a video sharing platform. You can share videos, but it's not a video sharing platform. But it's more like a short message sharing platform. And so I treat it that way. That's why I tweet as much as I do. And I try to build an audience around that, a Twitter audience around that, that just happens, just like I do on YouTube, where I reply to basically every comment on my YouTube. Twitter is kind of the same thing. I tweet something, I reply to basically everybody that replies to me, and I also interact with other people's stuff. Kind of like on YouTube, if someone makes a video, I might comment on one of their videos. Same thing on Twitter. Someone makes their own tweet, I might reply to their own tweet. So it's just another platform in my mind, but for short form word messages. So in a sense, that obligation that you were saying, it's not so much that I feel obligated to be interactive on Twitter, so much that I feel like that is just the purpose of Twitter, is that social aspect, to create that, as a creator on Twitter, to create that audience, to create that brand image, that kind of thing. And when you break it down like that, it almost sounds like you're being insincere, like, I'm trying to like manipulate the Twitter followers into being my audience peons, but it's really not that sinister.
Right. No, it's certainly not. Yeah. And it's funny that this about myself using the word obligated, because I don't think, at least for me, I wouldn't ever use the word obligated. Now, I love Twitter and I love the audience that I have there, and it's the same, everything's sincere, but I don't think I would have naturally used that with YouTube. It's just kind of like how I compared YouTube to TikTok. I'm not saying that. It almost felt like when I said that it's like I was valuing YouTube over that or something like that. But also, I'm still trying to kind of figure out how I can entertain on Twitter overall. But
and again, like with the obligation thing, I do feel like often because it's word messages on Twitter, that it doesn't feel like it has the same wall that TikTok or YouTube or an Instagram or something like that has, the wall being the content, right? So on YouTube, for example, the video is the wall. There's the video that is between the creator and the viewer, and you have to approach each other. If the creator and the viewer want to have a connection through the comment section or something, it has to be through the lens of that video. That is the thing that creates that connection between the two of you. The thing with like something like Twitter is that because it's messages is the content, and the messages are just someone's thoughts, it feels so much more intimate. It feels like you are literally, instead of like having a wall between the two of you, that you're seeing each other through that lens, you are actually seeing each other. And it often feels that way. So when it's like that obligation, if you do make some kind of connection on Twitter, you feel like you have a closer connection to that person than you might a commenter on YouTube. So in terms of the obligation, I don't know. I don't know. There's that intimacy and immediacy that comes with a tweet that you don't get on other platforms. Which again, it's a social media, so I guess that is why. But
I mean, that was the selling point, of Twitter to begin with. Well, maybe not right at the beginning, but near the beginning, when celebrities had Twitter, because it felt, even though we already went over this and you don't really have that connection, but it feels like you're closely connected because
because the possibility's there. Like,
right. They've got their phone. You see it. You see they post it. The possibility is there. Yeah.
The possibility is there that, yes, if I tweet at Lady Gaga, she herself might tweet me back. I'm sure she has a manager, but that's the other thing, too. The really big people, some of them have social media managers, but some of the really big people don't. And you're like, there is a chance you might form some sort of connection with someone who's really big. So that, I think, is alluring for a lot of people. It's unfortunate that because of like the era that we live in today, where so many just regular normie people want to break it famous somehow and are looking for every way to do so, that if there's a way to manipulate the system, or a way to at least attempt to manipulate the system, you're going to have people trying to do that. So you do have plenty of people out there that are constantly adding and trying to tweet at celebrities just so that they can get the attention of not necessarily even the celebrity, but everyone else that follows that celebrity, and try to piggyback off of the success and popularity and fame of a celebrity to be famous yourself. Right. A famous example, I don't think this was malicious at all, but on YouTube would be someone like Justin Y. If you know that name from like almost every YouTube video in the comment section ever for like a solid year. The man has like 700,000 plus subscribers, never posted a video. All he did was comment on popular videos. Now, that guy was hilarious, but he's not the only one that's done stuff like that. That's just the first thing that comes to my mind on YouTube. But on Twitter, you see the same thing. I think on Twitter, a lot of those people fall flat, though, because we've all seen it now. We know when people are trying to do that.
Right, and they have no substance, like, to maintain their, that, I guess, to maintain that attention,
Right.
To a smaller extent, you see this a lot, at least I do. You'll see something suggested to you, or somebody retweeted something, and it's just a funny meme that some regular Joe Schmo made, and then it gets traction, right? Maybe a lot of traction, maybe thousands of retweets or whatever. And then that you'll see a bunch of comments and stuff, and then you see at the top, they posted another comment under their main tweet that got really popular and said, "Hey, check out my SoundCloud." Or they'll say, "Hey," they'll plug whatever little thing that they do have, you know what I mean, that sort of thing.
It's funny too, because people know what they're doing, because you'll see the comment that's like, "Okay, I don't have a SoundCloud, but I have this other thing." It's like, okay, you know what you're doing.
It's a game. It's almost like a craft now. Like, it's just like that's just
but it's
what
funny
you have
too,
to do.
because it's like too late too, because you post a tweet, it goes viral, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm going viral. I'm going to post a tweet under that to be like, oh, here's all my stuff you should check out." It's too late. Everyone's already seen the tweet. By the time you've already got your 100,000 likes or retweets or whatever, those people aren't coming back to see that tweet. So it's too late. But, and that's why, like, as a creator, treating Twitter like it's a platform instead of a social media, like having that mindset moving forward, I think is more beneficial, because then you treat every tweet like it's your content, instead of like, oh, I'm just tweeting my ideas out into the universe, and then when you get traction, suddenly being caught with your pants down, like, oh wait, I could turn this into a brand.
Right.
It's
exactly. Right.
It's too late. The virality already happened. But at the same time, you don't want to just be like, every single tweet you put out has the second reply tweet with all your stuff in it for just every single tweet. So, and again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The vast majority of people won't care anyway, because they want to stay on Twitter. They don't want to go to your YouTube, your SoundCloud. They don't want to go to your LinkedIn page. Right.
It's really just the law of averages, and I think it's just the more. Well, that kind of brings me to a whole other thing too, to be honest with you. But I just feel like that on Twitter, and specifically too, the more you post, as long as you're putting your effort into it, your best foot forward, and you're treating it like a platform, you might get, every once in a while, you get that one extra person who is, and he's got a YouTube, and consistency is, I think, just key with that, or at least, overall with your quality tweets. I love your tweets. I do. I know for a while there was a short time, and I'm glad you did it. I'm sure you needed it. You took a little mental break from Twitter.
I took a month off. Yeah.
Took a month off. I remember that, because I was sad because I was used to seeing all your tweets, and I haven't seen them lately. Maybe I'm missing them when I'm on Twitter, but your good morning tweets.
I did that for about a solid 2 months, and then I stopped. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing them.
I grew accustomed to that. I did. So I stopped seeing them, and I got a little sad.
I don't know. It's something that like it got stale with me over time, where I had ideas to keep. Because for anyone listening, for context, I would just send out like "Good morning," and then some kind of word to describe anyone that was listening. So "Good morning, like Halloween was one where everything was like "Good morning, ghouls," "Good morning, ghosts," "Good morning, skeletons," that kind of thing. So every day I was posting like a "Good morning" message. I missed some days, but it wasn't. It was fine. But that was kind of the thing, like treating it like a platform a little bit, right? Like the content was like, oh, I'm going to now have, here's my series of good morning tweets, right?
Right, yeah.
That was kind of the idea. And then like after a couple months, that kind of got stale with me. And I think people were interacting with it less because I can see the stats on that where it's like it wasn't getting as many likes. No one ever retweets anything I do. The retweet thing is hilarious. It is really hard to convince someone to retweet you on Twitter, just in general. It's really hard to get any retweets. But people were interacting with it less, and I think it's getting less views. I think Twitter's capital A algorithm was not showing it to as many people, and that's just the way it goes. But
what's funny about the retweet thing, though, too, is that when you, at least I've noticed it, like if you like something, a lot of the times it'll still show to folks that you liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When you retweet it, people see that you retweeted it. Maybe it's seen a little less, but it's like, at the end of the day, what's the difference?
At the end of the day, it's because Twitter knows no one uses the retweet function. I mean, people do, but like at such a small, like a surprisingly small rate than you would think. Because if you see big celebrities tweet something, they always have thousands of retweets, but they don't really count for the vast majority of users on Twitter.
Right.
No one really uses the retweet button. That's why I think this was 2 years ago now or something like that. Twitter floated the idea out and everyone found out about it and lost their mind. They wanted to remove the like button so that if you actually cared about the tweet, you had to go out of your way to retweet it.
Right.
That's what they were trying to do. Instead of removing the retweet button, because they wanted, because that was a huge aspect that's like the social aspect of Twitter, the sharing. The only way to share a tweet is by retweeting it. So they floated the idea out, we're going to remove likes. If you like something, you should just retweet it, right? And people shouldn't be making tweets just for the likes, right? People should be making tweets because they want to make a connection with other people. And to facilitate that connection, we want other people retweeting tweets instead of just liking them. People didn't like that. I didn't like that. I didn't like the sound of that. I think there's a place for likes. I think there's a place where it's like you want to let that person know that, hey, I liked the thing that you posted, but also, I'm sorry, it just doesn't belong on my timeline. I'm not retweeting it.
Right,
but
sure.
Twitter doesn't like that because Twitter, for their algorithm and for their business purposes, they want retweets to happen. So what I think ended up happening instead of removing likes, they just completely changed the functionality of how likes work, and now they're just kind of like a shadow retweet.
Right. I didn't know that, or maybe I missed it when it happened. But that makes sense.
Thing, like now that, because if you retweet something, it'll show up in your timeline, your own timeline. So if someone goes to if you retweeted one of my tweets or something, and someone went to your Twitter, they would see my tweet in your timeline. But if you just liked one of my tweets, it wouldn't. So that's like one of the only functionalities that still is left over from the likes and retweets, is that on your specific personal timeline, anything you liked doesn't show up. Anything that you retweeted does. But in terms of the home timeline, the one that we all see collectively, they share almost the same purpose, basically.
Right. Okay. I remember, that reminds me of the only big change I remember not just being discussed, but happening was when we went from stars to hearts.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Remember when likes were favorites?
Likes were favorites?
Yeah, remember? Before they were likes, they were favorites. When they were a star, you would favorite a tweet.
That's what it was called. You would favorite a tweet. That's right, favorite. Yeah.
And that's why everyone called them faves. Like, it'd be an FAV. It's like, favorite tweet or whatever. And then they changed it to likes, and I was so upset because I'm like, this isn't Facebook, darn it. How dare you?
I know. What's wrong with you, Twitter? Come on. So many changes.
But I think it was a good move, though, in hindsight, because I think they were trying to facilitate, or promote more people using the like function, because I think that I know it was for me. I was hesitant to favorite people's tweets because I didn't want to favorite a tweet unless it was actually like my favorite tweet. Like, it had to be particularly special to get a favorite.
Sure, yeah.
But now that it's just a like, it's like, oh, well, screw it. I can like lots of things.
Right, you're right.
So I think it was a mental difference there. I don't know about between the star and the heart. I don't know what the move was there. Whatever. But
I think the move there was because Instagram's done that forever. So and Instagram is much more. You scroll through, you like it. You'll like all kinds of things on Instagram because it's just you see a picture, you probably never see it again, you move on. So there's a lot less weight behind that, and maybe they're trying to kind of follow suit and kind of build that, just the lightweightness of it. Just you put your heart on there and you move on. So I don't know. Maybe that's how I see it. At least that's how I see Instagram as someone who uses that. So
yeah, because I know Instagram is similar. They floated that idea out before as well, removing likes or at least not making them visible, as well as followers. They were going to make it so that you couldn't visibly see other people's followers. At one point in time, they floated that idea out, and people didn't like it because everyone likes to snoop on everybody's stuff.
Right. Oh yeah. I remember there was a time. I don't think you can now, but I know on Twitter it was a big deal for I would say maybe toxic couples. If there's a boyfriend on there liking a picture of a girl or something, because you used to be able to see everything that anyone on. You'd have your own separate feed on Instagram of what your friends liked. So you'd see any picture that they liked on Instagram, and you could learn some stuff about people.
Yeah, you learn some stuff. It's like, okay, all right, I see what you're into.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
because that's what it always was. It's like, all right.
It's like I knew it. I should have known this.
That was why, like, when I first got Instagram and I found out that was a functionality, you could snoop on what other people were liking. I was like, all right, from now on, I'm only liking Foxtrot comics.
Just playing into it. I love it.
Just playing like just like Sunday newspaper comics is all that's all I'm gonna like on Instagram. No.
That's my life. So okay, tell me this really quick. Whatever happened with that? Whatever happened with? I was there with you when you got your Instagram many years ago now.
Yeah.
Why? What is it about it that just kind of had you just go meh?
I don't take pictures. I don't take pictures of anything. There's nothing to Instagram. Okay. That's all it is. Every 3 months, I post one picture, and then you won't see me for another quarter. It's a business quarter. Every business quarter, I might post one picture.
But hey, you know what? If you get the engagement, I'm sure those stats will still look fine.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get a girlfriend before I can get an engagement.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic for a different podcast.
Yeah, no, it's funny too, because like with Instagram, I don't know how to build a following on Instagram. Again, as a creator, I don't want to just be on Instagram to follow people. Like that's not all I want to be there for. If I'm going to be on Instagram, I want to do something with it, and I haven't figured out what my approach to Instagram should be yet, so I have not committed to it. I mean, like, again, it sounds like I'm trying to, like, manipulate the Instagram algorithm. But, I mean, that's the kind of thing that I like to do as a creator. If I'm going to put something on Instagram, I want it to be something that I've created, not just, daily selfies or something like that. That just seems mundane, unless I can do something with that or turn that into something. Like, for a while, when I started up my exercise vlog, my running vlog, I was trying to make those micro vlogs of less than a minute, and I had them on a YouTube channel, but I was also sharing them to Instagram because I knew if I did it for under a minute, I could upload that entire video to Instagram. And that was kind of like my Instagram content for a while, was my little running micro vlogs. And then eventually I just kind of fell out of love of making those micro vlogs, and I just stopped making it, and therefore I stopped posting to Instagram for a long time. But
sure. Well, now I know with Instagram, and this is one thing too, everybody's trying to be everybody, because now Instagram has what's called Reels on it. I don't know if you're familiar with Reels or not.
Only vaguely.
Reels are 15-second things that you can scroll through, just like TikTok, right? And then they also have Instagram video. It's too much to me. It seems a little bloated now. But then you have Instagram video, which can be, now it's more than a minute. Now you can have it be multiple minutes if you want. And I think there's another thing too. Then it's just your normal page with pictures. It's hard as a creator to keep up with it. It really is, because each platform that you use has its own set of different things you can do.
Especially on Instagram, since it has to basically all be done through the phone. I hate that. You can't do anything through the computer other than maybe browse.
you're so limited on the computer. It's stupid. They just allowed in recent months DMing on there, and it's just text. You should be able just to type on your computer. But like, there's a couple people I keep up with on the DMs in particular on Instagram, and I know obviously it's simple on your phone, but if I'm on my computer, I don't want to be reaching down here. I want to be up here on the doing my thing, and I have to still pull the phone while the computer is up.
I tell you what,
send a message.
I think it's because Facebook owns Instagram. I think Facebook's like, if you're on your phone, get on Instagram. If you're on your computer, get on Facebook. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's what it is.
Which is funny because, and that's another point too. Twitter is obviously a mobile app.
Oh yeah,
well, of course, but I like Twitter on the computer.
It functions basically the same, except like weirdly enough, if you're a creator, there's a bit more you can see and do from the actual the web version, as far as like you can, in terms of stat tracking and tweet scheduling, you can schedule your tweets, and there's a lot more functionality on the web version that isn't necessary for your average user, but as a creator, because that exists on the web version, and it's way more convenient to do it from a computer than from your phone. It's really nice. Now, I don't take full advantage of all of that, but it's there, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you like, final thought on Twitter, I guess, is you like the new thing at the top with all the little things? Because I have a strong opinion on that.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on Twitter. I'll be honest with you. I might have to close down my account. This relationship, what? Twitter, she doesn't love me anymore. I have not had fleets. I have known about fleets since June, and I still don't have them.
You still don't have them?
I still don't have fleets. And every few days or every few weeks, I tweet at Twitter, like, "Oh man, it sure would be nice if I had an opinion on fleets. Oh man, I wish I could tell people about fleets. Oh man, it'd be great if I could post videos or tweets on fleets. Dude.
It'd be great if I could help you out and use your new feature."
Man, I remember there was a time. This is why I know I'm beyond my Twitter prime. Apparently, I used to just be enrolled in beta stuff on Twitter. Like, I would have access to changes before anyone else, just minor changes. And I'm like, man, I feel kind of special. Like, I'm seeing this stuff first. And now that Fleets is a thing, I'm like, are you kidding me? I've known about this since June. It's February. I still don't have it. There are Verge articles. Twitter rolls out Fleets to all Android users. All?
Right.
All?
Where am I here? Yeah. Wow.
I'm using an Android.
Dang. I'm surprised. I know you didn't at first when I made my initial tweet about it. Or maybe somebody brought it up, because I remember saying how I didn't really like it too much. But I remember you saying that. I thought that was funny. But it's been a while since that happened. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised you still don't have it. I don't know what you're supposed to do at this point.
I don't know. I'm just gonna keep tweeting them.
Do it.
I'm just gonna keep tweeting at Twitter and Twitter support.
You should get access. Well, of course, it's not. I guess it is account related. Get access to people's accounts with permission. Let me specify that, with permission, and start posting fleets on other people's accounts. All the same one on each one. That's what you should do. Give me a fleet on my Twitter.
Please. I tried to start a hashtag the last time I did it, like fleets for Weston, and there's a hashtag for fleet support, I think is what it was. So I did like hashtag fleets for Weston, hashtag fleet support at Twitter.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm gonna find that hashtag, and after the pod here, I'll tweet to it too.
Start spreading it around. If we can get hashtag fleets for Weston trending, that would be the most beautiful thing.
You wake up in the morning and you just see it right there on the side. There it is, trending.
I posted a poll, and it seems like I'm not completely alone in not having fleets, but also I don't know how much I rely on my Twitter polls for people, to be honest. But it was just like, how many of you have fleets? And some people were like, there were some people that were like, of course I do. Some people were like, no, I don't. Some people were like, oh, I don't even know what fleets are or whatever. But it just seems to me like I thought everyone had it at this point, unless you were using the web version, because it's not on the web version. It's only on the mobile version, but I don't have it on the mobile version. So.
Well, what I will say is that I've had it for a while now, and I I don't use it, but nobody I follow uses it either, which is interesting. So I'll see 1 to 2 max. So you're supposed to see, the whole bar. It's just like Instagram stories, same kind of thing, or Snapchat or whatever. It just goes across the whole top of your screen. And I only ever see 1 to 2 tops at a time. And usually it's the same people. Or sometimes it changes, but mainly it's the same. So it could be maybe the people I follow also don't have it. Or maybe it's not that popular. I don't know. I can't gauge that. But
I say it's hard to be popular, Twitter, when you don't give it to everybody.
Hashtag fleets for Weston.
Right? It's like, man, our fleet function, our new fleet functionality, it sure isn't popular. It seems like people don't really like it or aren't using it. Well, Twitter, boy, do I have a reason for that.
And that's what you do.
Go and send.
Right.
But because again, I don't know how much I would use it, but I'm just irked that I don't have it. So.
I understand. Well, when you do inevitably get it, you will get it. Hashtag fleets for Weston.
I think they'll shut fleets down before I get it.
You think so?
Yeah, they're going to be like, oh, we're shutting this down like we shut down Vine after we bought it.
Ooh.
I mean, that's what happened to
hurts.
Vine. Twitter bought Vine and shut it down.
They did shut it down. And I remember seeing these rumors for, it was fake the whole time, obviously, but Vine 2. Do you remember seeing those for a little bit?
Not really. I think that was always just people being really hopeful.
It was people there was somebody mocked up the logo, and even the initial somebody official that was involved in Vine, because Twitter purchased Vine. So the original creator of Vine said it's true, and they were verified on Twitter, and it said Vine 2. And I knew from the get-go, first of all, if you're going to bring Vine back, you wouldn't call it Vine 2, you'd call it Vine, right? You're not going to call it Vine 2. I just don't see the point of that.
It's not a video game, it's a platform.
Right, this isn't a sequel. It's the same thing, just coming back, if it ever happened. But people were so ecstatic about it. And then soon after that, TikTok came out. But
and it blows my mind because, like, there's no reason that Twitter should have... Here's the thing, because Twitter also owns Periscope.
Oh,
and
okay, I didn't know that.
My assumption was that they were shutting Vine down to move all of the personnel and all of the infrastructure and all of that to their Periscope, because Vine was clearly ahead and beyond what Periscope was capable of, but what Periscope had over Vine was streaming functionality. So I assumed that they were going to merge those two ideas and merge that into the Twitter app, so that you could have a dedicated, probably like a tab or something on Twitter for video and streaming content. So you have your usual homepage and feed of your tweets, and then you have video content and live streaming content. And I always imagined they would merge, or they would have separate apps that could be connected to each other. It never happened. They just shut Vine down, and no one knows what a Periscope is. Like, Periscope is not marketed well.
Yeah, I forgot about Periscope.
When you Periscope, it shows up on your Twitter, because I think you have to have a Twitter account to use Periscope now, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But like, when you Periscope, it shows up on your Twitter. I've never seen anyone's Twitter using Periscope.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah. I used to stream to Periscope back in the day, video game stuff. When I was multi-streaming from YouTube, I was multi-streaming to like YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. Yeah. Mixer. Mixer was around at the time. Mm-hmm. I did that for a while, and I didn't get any traction on Periscope because, again, no one uses it because no one's ever heard of it. So it blows my mind that Twitter shuts down Vine, keeps Periscope, doesn't integrate Periscope, and now Periscope's still chugging, but no one knows what it is or care about it. Right. Meanwhile, Vine was so popular that TikTok is Vine 2.0, essentially. Essentially. TikTok is everything Vine could have become if Twitter hadn't bought Vine.
Right. That is a strange decision. It's also interesting, too, because I think Periscope could have had the potential, because more and more people are streaming. I mean, TikTok has that functionality in it, even. It's interesting to me. And I know that, like, for example, like Twitch, right, which is something that I'm just now getting into. And I know it's not foreign to us, but I know that neither of us are Twitch pros by any means, I guess. But,
right.
But it's funny because I've known about, like, Twitch forever, but I feel like more and more people still are migrating to it. Like, it's still a growing platform. I don't think it's plateaued. I could be wrong. I'm just making an assumption here. I have no idea if that's true or not. But in terms of
it's a weird
base,
space.
But it seems like a very foreign space to me. But there's a market for live streaming, clearly, because I know it was just 5 or 6 years ago on Twitch where it was really you played games or that's it. Now Twitch has expanded to you want to do music, you can, that sort of thing. I don't know when the switch was, but I know for a long time it was the gaming live streaming platform, but it did change. But I don't know. I was talking to a friend of mine down here, and he there was a name for Twitch before it was called Twitch, and I don't know what it was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Justin.tv.
Justin.tv. That's it. Yes. Yeah. And I never watched it then. I don't think I had the technology, the computer that could probably watch a live stream at the time. Because I think that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Well, and it was hard to do it sometimes because transcoders and how you stream data, like that all used to just function differently back in the day. So yeah, maybe.
And it wasn't nearly as plug and play. Like video cards weren't what they are now. Like if you were to stream like a console game or something like that, I remember seeing a video. I can't remember who was. It was James Rolfe from the Angry Video Game Nerd. He was talking about in the early days when he first did the Angry Video Game Nerd stuff. The only thing they had at that time, they didn't have the Elgato whatever, right? They didn't have any of that stuff. He said he had like a VHS to DVD USB converter thing, and he'd have to use that to capture this footage. So the quality was really low and stuff. You'd have to get pretty
right. The pioneers of streaming. The pioneers of making streaming happening had to be a very special kind of nerd because they were doing something that no one had done before. Literally, that infrastructure didn't exist yet. Now, there's free software where you can just boot up on your PC, and everyone knows what it is. And again, Elgato and video capture cards are easy enough to come by, and they're relatively cheap. But literally just less than a decade ago, it was just pioneering technology.
I know, and not even that long ago. The same thing goes for you mentioned in your last podcast, like a little bit more about your PC, and even that I learned because I had a friend help me out when I was building mine, and the last one he built was 10 years ago, and 10 years ago when he built a PC, it wasn't quite as cut and dry as it is now. Now you can get it's still the fundamentally it's the same thing, but now you can get towers that are pre-wired. You got fans already built in them. You can, there's he even said like the instruction manual he got for his, and I had the same brand that he had, just a newer model, obviously. He said it's so much more in depth. It tells you exactly where everything goes, and it's been much more streamlined because more and more people are doing it as compared to building one 10, 15 years ago. That sort of thing.
It's far more user friendly.
Yeah. It is.
Than it used to be. I think it still takes a little know-how. Like if you're just a complete anti-tech person, you're going to be a little out of your depth. But I think it's easier than ever to do. I mean, I figured it out. I think that means anyone can do it.
I feel that way about myself that I did it. Right. If I can do it, you can do it. I remember a lot of people were concerned about, or not concerned, but you mentioned it in the podcast too. And when I mentioned it on Twitter, make sure thermal paste, right? I didn't have to worry about it because now the thermal paste comes pre-installed. Well, not on everything. Not on everything. Yeah, so if you're building a PC, double check.
Yeah. Double check, make sure you got some thermal paste. Usually nowadays you'll get some factory sent thermal paste, but a lot of people will tell you to not use that one, to go ahead and get your own, because a lot of people don't trust the factory sent stuff in case it's been
I've heard that
weathered or dried or something like that. I used it, and mine seems to run fine. Hopefully it's not slowly melting, but I mean,
right.
I don't know. It is easier now. I think it's harder to screw up so long as you do your research and get literally just all the parts you need, and then you just put it together.
Right. It was interesting to me because when I put it together, I realized very quickly that like I said, you have to have a little bit of know-how, do your research, figure it out. Because I always knew kind of the basics of how computers work and what the different parts do, but I never understood where they went or how they plugged into each other or any of that, right? And so doing this, I learned very quickly. It's kind of just like a complicated Lego set almost. That's kind of how I see it, in my head at least. You put the RAM in there. You put the CPU in there. You put the video card at the bottom of it. All that.
I think it's more like Bionicle.
I like Bionicles better. I like that. Each set sold separately. I loved Bionicles, man. That was the thing.
I had a Bionicle game on the Game Boy Advance.
Did you?
I don't remember what you did in it, but I had a game.
That's what I was about to say. Like, what kind of game is that going to be?
It was an over-the-top thing, and you fought things.
Well, what else do you expect for a Bionicles game, right?
I don't remember anything else about it.
It was a first-person shooter on the Game Boy. That's what it was. Could you imagine?
I wonder if there were any.
Oh,
I could imagine like holding it out and pretending it was augmented or something.
Who knows? I bet you that if you could do a first-person shooter on the Game Boy or even the Game Boy Advance, I bet you're running like 12 frames a second on that thing.
I did have on the Game Boy Advance. I did have a first-person tank game, and it ran like garbage. Now that you mention it,
right?
Where you had to like move in like sections a little bit when you moved around to shoot at things, and you could never see your target, your enemies, because they were like tiny little pixels on the other side of the map. I don't remember what it was called, but now that you mention it, I do remember a first-person like tank game. Yeah,
it's impressive that it could even happen. I mean, I'll give them that. That they could do it, I guess.
I mean, I was fascinated with it. I played a lot of it. I don't think I ever passed one level of it, but...
Right. I think about that, too. I go back and play these old like, N64 games and and games like that. I remember, like, for example, like, I'm a big fan of Zelda. I was playing just a little bit of Ocarina of Time on the original N64, not a remastered version or anything like that. And it's funny because that game natively, when it came out, ran at like 24 or 22 frames a second because they were shoving so much of a giant adventure game right into a little cartridge. Yeah. And I remember at the time thinking, and a lot of us when we were younger were much more forgiving and didn't even really understand. I didn't know what a frame rate was when that game came out, right?
That was like a PC spec. And on consoles, what's a frame rate?
Whatever, right? And it's funny how much that's shifted now, too. Now if you go back or play any game that's even a solid 30 frames, it's like, what is this garbage?
I will still stand by and forgive 30 frames a second, but once you drop down to 29, it's like, oh, okay, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, what are you doing here?
What's happening?
Yeah, we need to have a talk.
We need to have a talk. All right, this isn't Blighttown in Dark Souls. What's going on here? Notorious for like Dark Souls, you're running at 60 frames a second or whatever. Then you get to Blighttown and it's 4, and you're like, what's happening? What are you loading? What's happening?
Did you have you played the remaster of Demon Souls?
I have not. I need to get it. I've played the original Demon Souls all the way through, so like there's no surprises. So I've been watching a little bit of gameplay, and I'm so upset because it looks too beautiful. Like, it's too beautiful. The magical effects are too pretty. Like, the original Demon Souls, because of how it came out, was kind of like, it wasn't a budget game, but it was not quite AAA. It was kind of like an in-between zone where they didn't quite have everything figured out, and it was kind of grainy. It was kind of dark. The render distance was kind of foggy, kind of like how the original Silent Hill was kind of like a crap game, but to hide all the crap, they just put a fog everywhere so you couldn't see. Yep. But that added to the ambience, which is why every remaster of Silent Hill sucks, because you don't have the same ambience.
Yes, I hear
same
that
thing
from
with
Silent
Demon
Hill
Souls.
Fans. Yeah.
So, like, with Demon Souls, it's the same thing. It is lonely, it is dark, it is foggy, and it is miserable to be there. Every time you sit down to play Demon Souls, you're like, I really don't actually want to play this game, because it is such a harrowing experience. I was watching gameplay of the new Demon Souls, I'm like, it's pretty! It's like you want to be there. I'm like, It should not. You should, every second you're playing Demon Souls, you should be wanting to quit.
Right, exactly, right. And so what you're saying basically is that the budget and maybe the limitations technically that they had played in to the overall aesthetic of the game.
Yeah. I'll say everything else about the game seems like it's spot on, and I'm sure it's an amazing game for anyone that didn't play the original, but as someone who played the original, I'm like, I'm not getting the same vibe. I'm not getting the same feeling. When I see the new Demon Souls, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is like an adventurer going on a quest to save the world. When I played the original Demon Souls, I was just a bum who thought they could save the world and was wrong and was fighting every chance to just survive and failing.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
So I've seen it, and I think I'm sure the gameplay is great because I'm sure it's just like Demon Souls. It's just too pretty.
It's just too pretty. I get it. No, that's totally fair. They did that with another Zelda remake they put on the 3DS. They did a remake and put it on there of one of the older games, and people were saying it takes away from the darkness. It was a Majora's Mask, which is one of the darker ones, and it takes away from. Because the original game, the graphics were so crude, and it played into the darkness of the game because everything just kind of looked almost
gritty
deformed,
and
then like you see it now, and it's like, oh, now everything's nice, clean, 60 frames a second, colorful. It's like it takes away from the. So I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do. I definitely want to play Demon Souls. That's the only game I haven't even attempted to play out of the series. I played Dark Souls 1 with you a little bit.
Oh, was it Dark Souls? I couldn't remember. We tried to get you into a game. I was trying to remember if it was Demon Souls or Dark Souls. Maybe it was Dark Souls.
I think it was the first Dark Souls.
It definitely wasn't the second one because I would have started you with the first.
Actually, no, I think about it. I did not play the second one. I played 1. I've played a lot of 3. Never gotten through all of it. And I played Bloodborne, which is a little more accessible, which I liked.
I love Bloodborne. Bloodborne's really good.
Bloodborne's really good, and I like the pacing of it better than Dark Souls, from my experience, at least. It just seems a little quicker, maybe.
It is. It is a bit faster.
So I like that. And it still requires a lot of technique, but that's really good.
I like the idea that in Bloodborne it's a faster paced game. So my build for my character was the Kirk hammer as soon as I discovered it. So that I'm wielding this giant hammer that slows you down, and my offhand was the cannon, the giant cannon. So I'm like wielding the heaviest stuff in the game. I'm like, yes, this is faster paced.
With the slowest things you could do. I love it.
I found the slowest weapons in the game, and that was my build for Bloodborne.
It's funny. It's been a long time since I played it because I've only played it once, and that was when it, whatever year it came out. I played it for about a year or so, and for me, for whatever reason, the hardest. I never beat it either, but the hardest boss for me was it was an early boss. It was the
Bloodstarved Beast.
Cleric Beast.
The Cleric Beast?
The Cleric Beast.
Like literally the first boss you go to if you miss Father Gascoigne.
I didn't miss that. I think it was the second. It wasn't the first one.
Because you can come back around to him depending on what path you can take. You can accidentally walk by Father Gascoigne and run into Cleric Beast first. I think, unless I'm getting the bosses confused.
I just remember that one taking so much more time than one or two more after that I did fight. I don't know why, but that one sticks out to me more.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I don't know what it is.
That's a classic.
I don't know if the game is I'm assuming there's a progression to it. I know there's a little bit of alternate routes you can take and stuff, and I guess you can skip certain enemies, I guess.
You have to come back around eventually. Sometimes there's a couple side routes where you can kind of go around a thing for a little while, but then you end up having to come back because you need an item or something that that boss or an area might have. So sometimes there's a way around things depending on how keen you are. I know, especially if you play through the game once on New Game Plus. I blew my brother's mind playing this just because, like, on New Game Plus, I played all of Bloodborne, but I only played half the bosses. Oh. I could skip half the game on New Game Plus because I knew how to do it. Right. Bloodborne, I've platinumed Bloodborne. I loved Bloodborne. That was a good one. So I played that one a few times.
There was a lot of good games on the PS4, and now it's all over. I'm slowly converting to PC just like you have.
I know. I want to get a PS5 eventually, but I'm in no hurry to do so because all my gaming is on PC. I would probably never play anything on the PS5. I'm just a freaking PlayStation fanboy. Right.
Well, I hear you. I'm the same way I've always been Nintendo and then PlayStation for me. Then Xbox is just kind of chilling. But everything's on the PC. But you know, you don't really have much of a reason even right now because any games, I think most games that are releasing on the PS5 or Xbox Series X are on PC anyway. You know, there's not a lot of exclusives yet. I know there's some that are coming, and I think there's a couple already, but nothing that's really interesting to me at least yet. But like when the new, did you play Horizon Zero Dawn? You play that one?
I didn't. Everyone says it's great. I've seen some gameplay. I never played that one myself.
That's one that I played and beat pretty quickly just because I was so engaged in the game. And there's going to be a sequel for that, which I'm excited for. And I think that's still just going to be a PlayStation exclusive. So
I was going to say, I think that was a PlayStation exclusive. Yeah.
So I know that, well, it was, but now but now it's on PC like 3 hours, 3 years later. I guess they made it not an exclusive anymore,
That's what we're seeing a lot of now, especially from third-party developers that did exclusives. They're more like timed exclusives anymore, where consoles are fighting for only timed exclusivity, which makes sense because as a developer, if you have the resources to make a game for more than one system, for more than one platform, there's no reason not to, because limiting yourself to only one platform limits your potential, how many people you can sell it to. So if you have the resources, it doesn't make sense to limit yourself unless like a console is like, oh, here's another X millions of dollars to do so, but to offset that. But yeah, even so, then it's like timed.
It's true. Yeah, it's timed. Yeah, there's very few of that. Even someone like Nintendo, who is, known for mainly just first party more than anything. There was this news recently. I don't know where this is going to lead or if it means anything, but they made an announcement that they're partnering with Xbox, or they're working with Xbox to do something, and that's all we really know right now. They went to their investors and about that. I don't know what all the details are, but I'm thinking, what could that mean? And I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if Xbox Game Pass, if you could get the technology to work with it right, could stream like on the Switch or something? Like, I think that'd be kind of a cool thing if it could be robust enough to do it. But I think that would be a cool service if Game Pass, because it's already on PC now too. I don't know if
that's the thing. It's always made more sense to go to PC because Xbox is owned by Microsoft and Microsoft makes Windows.
Right.
So like Xbox to PC has always made sense to me. The thing with me is like I don't understand why Nintendo and Xbox would.
Yeah, isn't it
collab.
Weird?
I don't know where that comes from. I know why Sony doesn't want a part of it because they're very anal about like we're not collaborating with anybody. It's not. Well, I mean, where Sony where PlayStation came from was an offshoot of a Nintendo project that Nintendo tried to can. So there's some bad blood there, I guess. But also, like Sony's always
It's also a very Japanese company thing, from what I've learned. I've just from what I've kind of seen over the years with, because Nintendo's the same way. They're anal to a T with certain things, to a flaw with a lot of things, and it's just Japanese company decisions, I think, and can be kind of, kind of stubborn. But because I remember just like we were just talking about like cross-platform or games going to multiple platforms. When Fortnite, remember when Sony got a bunch of slack because they wouldn't let Fortnite players on PlayStation play with, like Switch was on board, like everyone was on board, and they ended up caving, I think, and I think everyone can do it now, but.
Yeah, I don't know if they end up, because they relented a little bit, but then if you had made your account on PlayStation first, and then tried to open your account on, say, PC, you couldn't do it. Your account couldn't be opened. You'd have to make a new account and therefore lose all your progress. So that was an issue for a while. I don't know if that ever stopped or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Fortnite guy, so I have no idea.
No. I've only ever played it on PC, and I've played Fortnite all of maybe a dozen times.
Right. I usually end up, the times that I have played it, I played it on PlayStation, and I would hide, and then the bubble would move, and I would go hide again, and then the bubble would move again, and then I'd be in the top 6 or top 4, whoever's in there, and then I never won, but I made it to the second once, and that was very exciting for me.
Just because, you wouldn't die. That's all it was. Right, you hid long enough to not die.
I've never been that kind of guy who's good at like they use their building as defense, right? So they can run and they can stairs, walls. That's too much. That's too much for me.
You're trying to shoot at a guy and then he builds a whole goddamn fortress around you.
Yeah,
and you're like
10 seconds.
Yeah, they're crazy. I could never compete with that. I hated the fact that like whenever I played Fortnite, I would spend the first 10 minutes looting and chopping down trees, and as soon as I see somebody from across the map, I'm sniped and I'm dead and I'm back to the lobby. I mean,
it's the whole,
I couldn't compete.
Yeah, and for me, just the whole battle royale style of game, just because of that, it's kind of a turnoff for me. I think overall, I think it was novel for me at first and seemed kind of fun, but if you're not objectively good at games, or especially games like that, at least,
especially shooters.
Yeah.
A lot of the big ones, they're shooters, but I've recently been playing this game called Spellbreak, and it's a battle royale. Yeah, where everybody plays as a wizard, and you all have access to different spells and stuff, but they're not shooters, so, like, you're not worried about getting sniped from across the map. You're not worried about someone building a goddamn fortress around you. It brings the action a lot closer, and while I think there's definitely a level of skill still there, where, like, people could still definitely be frustrated with the game, I think that you're not quite as reliant on just, like, having a crazy rig with really good mice and aiming, and I don't know, you don't have to be like a trained major league gamer to be good at freaking a game like Fortnite. I feel like you have to be a professional Fortnite streamer to stand a chance at winning half the time, right? So I don't know, I feel like I think it brings the skill level down a little bit into the wheelhouse of a type of gameplay that more players could perhaps be more accustomed to, as opposed to shooters, because I think a lot of people might play shooters, but they're not competitive at them.
Right. Sure. That makes sense. I think if I, as someone who's not that great at shooters, I feel like if I felt like I stood a better chance, and maybe I was even enjoying the gameplay more, even if if it's still battle royale, I think I would like it more. What are your thoughts on? So I hear complaints, especially I actually have coworkers who are all big COD fans, and they're all playing. I think they're still playing Warzone. I know the new game's out now. I don't keep up with Call of Duty anymore, but
no, I haven't since Advanced Warfare.
Jeez, and yeah, I haven't truly since probably before that. But they're talking a lot about. So they play on a team together, but like one of the guys is on Xbox, another two of the guys are on PC, and there's always these debates about like, is it fair? Right? I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. Is it fair, PC versus console, right? Because the accuracy that you have with a mouse, but then again, I always like to say you got the auto assist or a bigger hitbox if you're on a console, right?
Yeah, there are like soft locks and systems in place to give console players a little extra help when it comes to aiming, especially in shooters, when it comes to aiming. And PC typically doesn't get that same treatment, but the thing with PC is that you have more range of motion with a mouse. So you have the ability to move a mouse around much more minutely or much more quickly. You can also adjust your sensitivity on your mouse on the fly if you really want to. There's a lot more hardware and options and availability to people that play on PC that on console, because you have to have a standardized controller, you're not afforded. So the soft lock systems or bigger hitboxes, those are in place just to allow console players to at least stand a chance at having fun when playing crossplay with your friends. Because the consensus is that people want crossplay so that they can play with their friends that might be playing on a different system. Everyone wants crossplay so you can play with your friends. No one wants crossplay for competitive reasons. If you're playing competitive Overwatch, right, Fortnite, whatever, if you're not playing on a PC, you're not playing competitive. You're not doing it. Because if you're going to be competitive, you have to be playing with a mouse, and everyone around you is going to be playing with a mouse. I will say that when it comes in terms of just casually playing, there are plenty of people that get way too anal about that difference, I think, that get wrapped up in the, oh my god, you're playing on a controller, so you're cheating because the system's soft locking you or whatever. I think there's a lot of people that freak out about the differences, but at casual play, it really truly doesn't make a difference. Most mid-level players, you can't actually tell a difference if you're playing against somebody, whether they're using a mouse or a controller. I remember Overwatch comes to mind. I could hear a teammate raging at me. We were playing. I don't remember what the name of the game mode is, but it's like an elimination style. So everyone has one life, and then whoever the last team standing is wins. So I was playing that, and I was the last one standing. I was playing with a controller. I was playing on PC, but I was playing with a controller because I wasn't very good at shooters with a mouse yet. Coming from console gaming, I was playing with a controller, and I could hear someone raging at me because I was the last one left, and there were like 3 enemies left. and I'm playing as May, which is someone that I hadn't played very much of. So I was sucking. I was just barely surviving. But I got all the way to the end, right, where with my controller playing on PC, I did manage to knock out the other 3 and win the game for the team. And I was playing with a controller, and I was constantly, because they were like, "Oh my God, are you playing with a controller? I can't believe you suck. Your aim is terrible." All this stuff.
Yep.
But we weren't playing competitive. In a casually ranked match, I was down my team, and I could still come back and stand a chance at winning. And I had a lot of fun. This other guy was just losing their mind. So that's what I mean by, like, yes, controllers get a lot of extra benefits in terms of, like, the soft lock and stuff like that mice aren't afforded. But people with mice have so many more options available to them. I don't know. Because now that I don't play shooters with a controller, now I play shooters with a mouse, it's hard to go back because I just don't have that detail with an analog stick.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm just now coming into that now. You know, I'm trying to play around a little bit with the mouse, just in general. Even just playing Minecraft, because I built my computer. Gaming is secondary. It's got the power absolutely to do it, but I'm using it mainly for content creation and stuff. But even that, I'm so used. Well, actually, Minecraft's a bad example because I've always played Minecraft on PC.
Minecraft on a controller is a nightmare, and you can't change my mind. No. Everyone that plays that on console, I don't understand.
I've always told people to. That was a bad example for me because I've always told people, like, if you're not playing Minecraft on the computer, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. That's just what it's.
It has to be on the computer. It has to be Java.
Has to be
anything else is wrong.
But it is stupid. Speaking of that, come back to the same point, is like Java, you can only play with other players who do Java. Because then you have
because that is the true Minecraft. Everything else is fake.
Yeah. It does.
Don't get me started on Pocket Edition.
Oh, Pocket Edition. Hey, Pocket Edition's pretty robust now, apparently. They have like 4 blocks to choose from now. That's pretty good.
Oh, it can't be just 4 blocks. It's got to be more than that.
No. I remember
Alpha 0.01 version of Minecraft had more than 4 blocks. Come on.
I remember trying it when I had like an old iPhone years ago, when I first released the Pocket Edition, and I think it had like 32 blocks to use. I think that was the real number. I think is what it was.
It might have been, because I think the early Pocket Edition might have been like what the early Minecraft Edition was back when there was a free version of Minecraft. It might have been that.
Did you get it when it was free, or did you?
It was just something you could play on the web if you wanted to, and it was basically creative mode, but you played like only in one chunk. Like it only load one chunk. That was the entire world, and you had like 32 different blocks to choose from or something like that, and you could build stuff, and you could play online multiplayer. And you could build stuff until you decided to quit. Because there was no survival, it was just creative mode. Right. That was the free version of Minecraft, so that you could get a feel for like what you could do in it. And then, of course, they had their paid version, and then you had your whole world and stuff like that in survival mode. I remember that. That was weird. I remember playing the free version of Minecraft that was just that. And I'm like, what is this game? I don't get it. There is no game. Because I didn't understand at the time.
Yeah, it revolutionized everything, really. I guess I never really got into it until I think the 2011. So the game was already out at that point, like official release. I believe, right? I don't know when
something like that. It might have been 12 when 1.00 came out. I'm not sure.
Because I remember the first time I played was with you guys, and was it still in beta? Maybe it was still in beta then. I'm not sure.
You might have got it at the very end of 2011. November 18, 2011, it was the official release of 1.0.0.
Okay. And I know it was that
you might have been in just before it released.
I know that just
I was in the beta.
All right, okay. I know that just because I remember it being junior year, and that was in 2011. So yeah, or I guess it could have been senior year too. Regardless,
it would have been. Yeah, it would have been your senior year because I would have been 11 going into 12.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Because that's when we were playing on that server with Jacob, was because we were all in the AP English class.
That's right.
And I was playing Minecraft before all that, because when I told Jacob about it, he's like, "You nerd, I can't believe you're playing Minecraft." And then we ended up having a server together.
And we had, oh man, and I'll never forget, I got to tell the server, the rise and fall of Calgard. I always tell this story. I remember... So this is when we all had our established areas and everything, and this was a pretty big server, especially at that time. It blew my mind that I think his brother, now it's commonplace, but we could type in like a particular address on Chrome or whatever, and we can find our map. So we can see like a full map of what. Do you remember that?
Yeah, because we had the Dynmap mod installed.
Right,
yeah.
Correct. And I knew nothing about mods or anything, so I just didn't know how any of that worked at the time. But I remember one time this is when we've had playing it for months, and it was well built. We were buying and selling goods to each other. We built that monorail system in the air to go. I don't know if we ever finished that or not, but I remember we're building
parts of it were.
Right. I know I was connected to him, I think, because he was pretty central. I think
he was our kind of central hub.
Right. What was your name? Your
like
country's
my character
name?
name?
No, your
my city was Real Ruindale.
Real Ruindale, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. I used a bunch of prefixes and suffixes from Lord of the Rings.
I love it.
It roughly translates to like City of the Setting Sun or something like that.
It's funny because I remember mine was a French name just because my last name is French, but I can't remember what it was. I think it started with an R, I think. But I'm sure we can find.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I remember I just had like a big blue flag and stuff. But my point was that there was this one afternoon that I got on like any other afternoon, and it was only him and I on at the time, and we weren't chatting voice that day. We were just on the chat. I remember I hopped on just like normal. Hey, what's up, Jacob? He's like, hey, not too much. Or no, he didn't say not too much. He said, come to New Calgard right now. Come right now. I'm thinking,
that sounds about right.
What's going on? I said, please, right now. I need your help. I'm thinking, what's going on? He's like, please. So I'm like, okay. I hop on the monorail. I drive down there. And as I'm approaching, I will never forget, there were random blocks appearing in the sky and then going away. I'm thinking, what is going on? Like random ground blocks, right? And then the frame rate started to chug along a little bit. I'm thinking, what is happening here? Well, he managed to spawn like dozens, and I mean maybe 100, not exaggerating, iron golems, and they were terrorizing his town, and they were all over the place. And I don't remember how he got them all there, but there were so many of them that they were bogging down the server, at least in that area, right? So I remember I had to go.
Some dark magic went on there, dude. Some dark magic happened in his plays.
Something definitely did. Because I remember, like, he needed my help, like, killing them because it was just killing the frame rate and everything was just it was terrible. But I consider that the beginning of the end of Calgard. I remember that.
It was at some point, but when Calgard finally fell was because literally I don't know what he did to his little city area, but like just entire. Just sections of the loaded in chunk were just vanishing, shifting, moving. Remember that too. It was dark magic, man.
It was dark magic. It was scary because I remember, and then we had a lot of drama. We had a friend of a friend, who was on the chat for a while, and he was griefing, as we'd call it. You know,
the one that TNT'd a bunch of stuff,
and
set things on fire. Yep. And thank God he didn't go over to my city and set on fire because the entire thing is made out of wood.
Yeah, right.
I was like, everyone got griefed except me, and I'm like, I don't think I got touched. Thank God.
Thank God. I didn't have much valuable stuff, so I was like, whatever. But I remember, I think he was like stealing some stuff too. It's like, oh my gosh, it was the beginning. Yeah. It was ending, and it was happening. But that was something that Jacob, the guy who had the main Calgard area, he'd always like show up, right? I'm sure he did this to you too. He'd just show up. He'd show you something that he could do that we thought was cool, or he would break a block just to put it back together, or like he would do like stupid things like that all the time to get your attention.
He made me so anxious all the time.
Because you
100%. He would show up at my like it would just be like me and him on the server or whatever. He'd show up at my city and I'd be like, "What are you doing here?
I know, what are you doing?
What are you doing here? You know you're not welcome here."
And he knows what he's doing. He's
like, "Nothing, just hanging out." You could see him across the freaking like street or whatever with his bow and arrow pointed at you or something. He's like, "Oh, we're not doing this, man."
Right, yeah.
We're not doing this.
Just hanging out. Then he spawns like 3 withers to fight or something. Like he'll just do a bunch of crazy stuff.
Because he did do that. He managed to get enough skulls together, and he made a wither somewhere out in in a field, and then it got away from him, and we had to like kill it before it could get to someone's city and destroy their city.
It was near my city. It was near mine. I remember that.
Yeah, I think it was between your city and his. So yeah, something like that.
And because it ended up rolling over to my area. I had like a dock, and I had like a big area out front, and I remember he was near the dock, and and you guys came running over saying, "Hey, we like help out," So I was. And I think that was my first time seeing one of those things. I don't think I've ever seen a wither before that.
They were pretty new at the time. I don't know. I don't remember what update it was that introduced them, but yeah, they were pretty new at the time.
Right. It's funny how things are still they're still adding new stuff all the time. I know. I tell people the last time I religiously played Minecraft, and I still go back to it. It's still one of my favorite games, but is when I fell off when the horses came out. I remember that was a shift for me when I kind of went away from Minecraft for a while when they introduced horses.
Yeah.
I remember that was
I was still into horses for a while, and another update or two after that. But yeah, that was getting towards the end.
Right. I remember doing it a little bit, but I remember, but then yeah, soon after that for me, I was just kind of it. And now it's still Minecraft. You can play it how you want to play it, but
right.
There's a lot of things that I see people do if I happen to come across a video on YouTube or something of somebody playing it, of things that I have never seen before. But it's intriguing. I kind of want to get back into it again, really. But
yeah, keep playing it on your streams or whatever at twitch.tv/AP Duquette, and maybe you'll continue to discover new things you haven't seen before. Because I know when I started Minecraft again, like I guess it's been a year and a half or something ago, or maybe 2 years ago now. I started doing Minecraft on my channel, and I haven't done it in a while. But I had come back to it after so long and not playing it that I'm like, there's so much stuff that's familiar, but also so much stuff that's new. Like the drowned zombies that come out of the water or whatever and throw tridents at you. I'm like, what is happening?
Yes,
what is happening?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Your first night that you spend with, I don't know if you saw them in your stream or not, because I had to do my stream and I didn't see all of yours. I don't know if you saw any of the phantoms yet that come out at night.
No. Phantoms?
You'll learn about phantoms when you learn about phantoms. They're terrifying, and they make night so much worse.
Oh my gosh!
So I won't spoil it for you. You'll know it when you see them.
Yeah, don't spoil it. I remember being freaked out when they introduced Enderman. Because they.
Oh yeah, Endermen were terrifying.
And now they're a mainstay, but because especially during that time, because that's when we had that small obsession with Slender Man.
Yeah,
because
that's what that was based off of.
It's based off of, right. So it's soon after that whole thing happened, and that was really popular for a short time. That was kind of like lightning in a bottle. That was really big for a while. I remember that. But the Enderman came out, and that was really, really freaky.
And the earliest iteration of the Enderman could pick up any block, so they could really screw with you. And then they changed it later where they could only pick up, I think, dirt and stone, maybe cobblestone or something like that. I don't remember what it is now. But yeah, they could pick up wood. They could pick up anything. And it was like, stop breaking things. Oh my god! You would go into your house and there'd be one random block missing, and you'd be like, Enderman.
Right. It's either Jacob or the Enderman, one of the two.
Or Jacob would be more like, oh, I'm missing a piece of stairs, but it's over here and upside down.
That's so true. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot more now. But when we're because I remember the horse update, that was a big update. I remember at the time that was a big deal because there was a lot of things going on. Was that when witches were introduced to, or are they already around? Or did they come later?
I don't remember what update introduced witches. It might have been the same or close to the same.
Yeah,
because that probably would have been around the same time period. I don't remember when they were introduced.
Right. I'm just curious because I don't remember them in the early days, but I do have experience with them, I guess. So
I think they were technically a different update because I think they might have updated some of their potion making. I don't think it was the same one that introduced potions, but I think they had a update that maybe tweaked some stuff, maybe. So I think it was a different update, but I don't remember if it came before or after horses. Okay. It might have been after. I'm not sure.
Right. I don't know.
The horse one was a big one. I remember Jacob and we made a horse training ground so that you could figure out their stats in game, like how fast they ran. We had built a redstone timer so you could figure out how fast they could run in a certain amount of time. We had like a jumping stand that could measure their height, and I don't remember what the other stat was. There's a health stat or something. So like we had like a training ground stable for horses, and we were trying to breed really cool, the best horse. Yeah, that was a thing for a while. So I remember the horse one for sure, but the witches one I didn't do much with witches.
Right.
In their swamps.
I remember another thing I remember is your giant statue of you. I remember that.
Yeah.
You had
I built a giant statue of my. It was a 1-to-1 recreation. Every pixel on my Minecraft skin was a block in Minecraft, and so it was 1-to-1 giant statue of me. I say 1-to-1. I guess it was technically 64 times my size, I think is what it came out to. Mm-hmm. But yeah, every pixel on my skin was a block in Minecraft.
See it. You'd see it when you're super far away. One of the first few things that render as you come closer is that giant statue of you. It was fantastic.
I was pretty happy with it. I always liked getting a bunch of sheep together, getting all the wools, and then you build a ladder up inside my butt, and then just climb up my statue until just laying down wool one piece at a time. It's like, did I get this pixel right?
There's your first book, a ladder to my butt.
A ladder up my butt.
Ladder, yep. I like ladder to my butt better.
Ladder to my butt, because I did have a secret door too inside my statue. There's a ladder up my statue to get to the top on my head where I could blast fireworks off when they introduced fireworks. But I also had a ladder going down that went into like a secret room or mine or something like that.
Are you familiar with RT Game Crowd?
No.
Okay. Sometime when you have a chance, look up. It's just RT, and then Game Crowd. He's on Twitch. What he does is he has multiple servers, and with multiple moderators in there, and he has 100 or so, if not more, followers of his Twitch streams or whatever join in, and he always gives them an assignment to do. And so, like for example, they're recreating like the world by country. So he's from Ireland, so they've done Ireland, they've done America, and they're not obviously doing any like 1-to-1 ratios or anything like that, but they have access to a map so they can kind of see roughly where they're located and what the layout of what the country is or whatever, and some people,
it's like supposed to be 1-to-1 to the actual world.
No, it's not supposed to be 1-to-1. No, it's just it's just they actually created a layout of, like, him and his moderators created the layout of the country, but then they let their players do whatever they want, right? Pretty much. But he'll make like these giant like not strip malls, like giant malls, and each character each player can like everyone's allowed to grab one part of the mall, one shop, make your shop whatever you want, and then he goes through and tours it later as they're building. It's actually a really cool thing. It's a cool community, but there's some really funny ones, and there's some it's just really good. It's all kinds of things. Like one time he had them like build in complete darkness. So like they could barely see anything, just, you know what I mean? Just people would get creative with that, and it's cool. I highly recommend it. RT Game Crowd, someone I watch on Twitch a lot.
I'll try to remember that.
It's a cool idea. I know that if I had that kind of audience, I think it'd be so much fun just to put them in a giant.
Sounds like too much work to set up.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Sounds like too much work to set up. I'm already thinking about it. I'm like, I feel like this is something that someone would ask me to do, and I'd be like, but it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. He's so lucky because I
don't have moderators.
Right, he's got like 6 guys that do it all for him, and then he just, at this point at least now, I'm sure he had to work to get there, but he just goes through and looks at what everybody makes. And some people can make, I bring that up because there's so many amazing statues that people can make. It's ridiculous. I've seen some people like do creative builds when they build like big structures or statues or towns or buildings or whatever, and you're like, that is like, they look so good and so detailed. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing. Yeah, it blows your mind. It really does.
That and the giant computers that people make in Minecraft.
Yeah, people make computers and calculators. And
the most accomplished thing I did with Redstone Minecraft, I did build a slot machine once. Where you could put in gold or emeralds, and it was a giant slot machine, and basically it completely operated on chickens. There were chickens in the slot machine, and they would chuck eggs that would activate pressure plates if the eggs hatched into other chickens, and then there was a system inside the machine to kill off the chickens when you were done with the slot. So it was constantly hatching chickens and throwing eggs when you put your money in, and you might win more money back out. I made a slot machine.
That's awesome. Powered by chickens.
Powered by chickens and redstone, baby. And I don't remember how I did it, but I did it, and I was like, haha, it's done. And I did that actually on the CowGuard server before it went down officially. And there was a patch or an update or something like that came out, and then it broke all my redstone, and the slot machine didn't work anymore.
That's a shame. No more gambling. It's over.
Yeah, it became a sober county.
Sober county. I like it.
I guess that'd be a dry county. I don't know, but
it's all the same.
Minecraft, baby.
Minecraft.
I've probably taken up enough of your time.
Oh goodness.
Now that we've gone, I was looking at the time like an hour ago. I'm like, oh man, I should probably wrap this up. And that was an hour ago, and I'm like, well, we'll just keep talking.
Keep it up. Yeah, we have the tendency to we can talk about this stuff forever. Yeah.
But also, this makes up for the fact that last week I didn't release a podcast. Unfortunately, I got too busy. I didn't release a podcast last week.
I noticed.
I thought you might. And then we were talking about doing this podcast this week. I'm like, all right, well, I can't bail on this one.
That's right.
So this one was extra long for as a makeup for that. I'm thinking about, too, I don't know if I should do a separate channel or the same channel on YouTube doing, like, clips of the podcast.
Yes.
Where I take like sections of the podcast that are just like, little sections of topics and stuff that we covered. So that might be coming. I don't know if it'll be on the same podcast channel or a separate channel. Probably the same. I don't know.
I would do the same.
But that's something I've been thinking about. That's something I've been thinking about a little bit. It doesn't really affect any of my listeners on the audio forms of like Spotify, Google, etc. But that's something I've been thinking about as well. So keep an eyeball or an ear ball out for that. But this has been a Hasty Podcast. Like I said, we should probably wrap up. I've been here with Alex Duquette.
Yes, thank you. Really quick, thank you so much for having me on. I've been a listener since the first episode when you did your daily stuff.
Since the beginning. Since the daily stuff,
beginning.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going back to something a little bit more frequent than weekly, but I don't know. I like the longer form content stuff instead, so we'll see what the future has to hold. But thank you for joining me as well. I hope to have you on in future episodes as well.
Yes, I'd love to.
Because I know we can talk about anything. I don't think we covered half the topics I thought I was going to try to direct the conversation toward. But I was like, I like where we're going with this. We'll just keep going. So
good. I hope. I didn't want to take it somewhere you didn't want to go or something like that. Or
well, no, like in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, I've got a couple things I could bring up about like what's going on here. Some of the stuff that we talked about last time I talked to you in person. Mm-hmm. I was like, I've got a couple ideas. We'll see where the conversation goes. So I know there's plenty of stuff we can talk about.
Yeah, anytime down the road you want to have me on, I'd love to join again.
And once again, check out Alex on his YouTube, youtube.com/Alex Duquette Music. Check him out on Twitch at twitch.tv/APDuquette. Check him out on Twitter. I think it's also AP Duquette.
Yep, all AP Duquette. Yep.
AP Duquette. Check him out on TikTok, apparently, AP Duquette.
AP Duquette, yep.
And links and stuff in the descriptions and explanations of this podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. This has been a Hasty Podcast, and I have been Weston Hasty. Until next time, wash your hands. I don't have an outro for this podcast. Bye.